Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Alexiot's here. Tuesday morning after a loss to the Chicago Bulls on the second night of the back-to-back with the Bulls home and home series. And yeah, it was just a little bit of a different game. Obviously, Zach Lavine showing up was a big difference for them. Gave them a different look of a two-prong attack with him and Demar Derozan. And, our going into the game kind of strategy was to double both of them, but we really didn't do anything exactly right. This was a bad loss. This may be one of the most disappointing losses we've had this season. And part of it is that, Chicago wasn't totally sharp. They didn't play at their top level, and they still managed to beat us pretty easily. And that's what makes me sad is like we saw Zach Lavine step out of bounds a few times in the game last night. They made a lot of mistakes, the Bulls, and they could make those mistakes and still beat us. And I don't like that. Usually, when another team is making mistakes, you got to make them pay and make sure you win because of that. But there were a few factors involved in the game yesterday that kind of hurt us. One of them, and this is what Nick Nurse talked about in the press conference after the game, I just watched it, is that these young guys like Koloko and Scotty and a couple of them are not totally used to doing these back-to-backs and dealing with the same team in 2 games in a row. That this is the first time Koloko had ever played in a back-to-back 2 games where he started, and it kind of showed the effect of like the bounce back 24 hours playing against the same team. He just wasn't totally ready for it. And then Nick says that our young guys got some lessons on, the turnaround and what this league is like and just how physical it is and how you need to be ready. And because this is it, Christian. This is how it is. You're gonna have to deal with Vucevic on Sunday in Toronto. You need to deal with Vucevic again on Monday in Chicago. So part of it is he says his young guys were not ready. The energy was not there for the Raptors last night, and it showed. It was weird. It was at times we saw some really cool things, flashes of brilliance and amazing stuff. Like the Scottie dunk is an amazing highlight. It is an amazing highlight. It's going to live forever, and it's going to be around for a while, but it's too bad that it wasn't in a game where we won. So let me see what you guys are saying. We'll go over the box score and just in general react to the loss. Last night, 14-point loss to Chicago Bulls, 113-99. Not what we wanted, but this is a long season, and once again, we split a two-game series with the team. Mike's here. Salute, real ones. Project Truth always. Yeah, sure, Mike. For sure. Project Truth, I'm with you on that. Seymour Pape saying, did anyone see Cameron rant on Ben Simmons' airball layup? Yeah, that just sounds funny. I saw his stat line, Ben Simmons. His stat line looked pretty sad. But, listen, I don't want to go to dump on him too much. He really is trying to come back and get his career back. And he's on the Nets, and he has to deal with everything that's going on that team. I want to give him a pass for a little bit. But he is kind of a – I've seen his stat lines recently. And, it may be sad that he may never be able to be back to who he was because of his back and different things like his psyche. So we'll have to see. Meek Mill's tripping a ref. Really? That happened in the game? That was Philadelphia, obviously. Philadelphia against Phoenix, and he stuck his leg out and tripped one of the refs. That's pretty dirty. That's Philadelphia stuff right there. G saying the only thing anyone will remember about this game is the dunk. For sure. And I'm sure all of you had the similar reaction to me when it happened. I pretty much jumped out of my seat and yelled really loud because I couldn't believe it. It was not totally expected, the power and the ability to get up there. And yeah, he threw it down on their center in a major way. And I know Scotty in his mind was saying, get up on that rim. He's like, get up on that rim. He's like, oh, and he's holding. And like you saw the look on his face when he's coming down. He's like, yeah, I got Vucevic. And he even posted it on his Instagram later. So he was very proud of that dunk. But honestly, that's the only thing he really has to be proud of in the game last night. He did have another point for layups, and he did hit 1 free throw out of 2. 2 for 9 for Scotty, 0 of 2 at the three-point line, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, just 1 turnover. So 5-to-1 assisted turnover ratio is pretty good, only 5 points. Now, the one thing I will say about Scotty is he's one of my 3 stars for the game last night. And it's not because of his stats. It's because of that dunk. And then also his plus minus. His plus minus was actually the only really good one on our team, which says something, that he had such a bad game, but the plus minus when he was on the court was still +6. And none of the other Raptors had a plus minus. They all had negative plus minuses for the game last night. So there's something about Scottie being on the court, even though he was ineffective and not scoring himself. This is really going to be growing pains. There's going to be some games where Scottie, like, people may think he's hurt right now, but I think it's just regular growing pains as a young player, that he's only a second-year player. In some ways, people talk about the second-year slump and different things like that is just historic for most players. The second year, you don't do as well. Well, I don't think that's going to happen to Scottie necessarily, but there may be some games that are kind of duds and make it feel like that he's having a second year slump, sophomore slump. But I don't think he's hurt, y'all. I think y'all are saying, oh, he looks hurt. He looks hurt. I think he's just not totally in the game exactly how he should be normally, because he really is the kind of person that is, when he's on it and he's perceptive and he's really reading the game right, you see him doing so many good different things. I think for some reason he was a little off for that, because he wasn't getting the spots early. He wasn't kind of premeditating things on the court. And that kind of sets him back in all kinds of different ways as far as like being effective on the court and doing things very well. Like I said, I made him the third star for last night, solely really on the dunk and being the only plus minus on the Raptors last night. The 2 stars ahead of him, Fred VanVleet, once again, showing he is the man and getting 6 of 10 from 3-point range, 10 of 19 from the field, 27 points. Some of those threes were really impressive, really, really impressive, deep or with coverage. And I just love that he was 6 of 10 from 3-point range last night. That's a fantastic percentage. I can't get mad at Fred. Fred did a lot to try and help us win last night. He didn't have a whole lot of help. Gary had a really good bounce back game last night. 7 of 12, shot really well, 19 points, 4 assists, 3 steals. I thought Gary played really well, and those are my 3 stars: Fred, Gary, and Scottie. Scottie, those 3. Excuse me. Jeez. Ugh. All right. Tom Duke saying, oh my gosh, that dunk. I know. Paul B, we got number 1 dunk of the year right now. I know that we got that. G's going to bring up something very important here. Zach Lavine was fresh-legged. I bet teams will be load managing for these mini series. Yeah, that may have been very calculated by the Bulls. Like, okay, we're not going to play him on Sunday in Toronto, but he's going to be available for Chicago. And that was a huge factor that he didn't play in the back-to-back. He was completely fresh, and he was the best player on the court last night. Zach Lavine, 30 points on 11 of 20 shooting. 11 of 20. He shot so well. He didn't do a lot of things right on the court. He had 5 turnovers, and some of these turnovers were really dumb, like really dumb turnovers by him. I get mad at players when they step out of bounds, even if they're not on my team, because they're professionals. And when you're a professional, you're supposed to know the dimensions of the court and really play within them. And there was so many out of bounds calls last night. I don't know if the refs were just really looking for them, but Zach Lavine himself got like 2 or 3, and then a couple of other Bulls, and then some of our Raptors got step out of bounds calls on them, turnovers. And that's real ugly basketball when you're stepping out of bounds and turning the ball over. I don't like that. And there were a lot of travel calls too. Now, the refs were manipulating the game last night. Doug Smith tried to say, once again, Doug Smith, fuck you, on his Twitter last night, that the refs were being fair because somebody complained, oh, the refs are horrible. And he said, no, I think they're actually doing a good job. Well, they weren't totally, Doug. They were not. There was a point in the game where they were calling everything on one end, and one end they weren't. And that resulted in technicals for Fred VanVleet, technical for Nick Nurse. And they were right. You saw Fred at one point this way and then this way. When he's doing that, that means you're not calling it the same here as you are calling it here. And that was the big argument that they had when they got their technicals, is that y'all are calling 2 different games at 2 different ends of the court. You are calling things real tight on one end, and you're letting them hammer us on the other end. You are calling little things on us on one end, and the other end, Vucevic is just nailing people. And that was the big ref manipulation of the game last night. Eric Lewis is not necessarily a nice ref to us. I forgot. We actually lost the last game he refereed, I believe. And it was something similar on the down low like this. Jason Goebel, Eric Lewis, John Butler. Yeah, I'm going to be watching out for you guys for subtle manipulations. But last night we didn't play well. I can't blame them. But there was definitely an imbalance in how they were calling the game in the middle of the game at some point. And that really was when Nick and Fred got their texts and they were kind of arguing with the refs at that point, is because they weren't calling it the same on both ends. So there you go. But really, ultimately, the main reason why the Raptors lost the game last night is we had flat energy on the second night of a back-to-back, and our guys didn't come in with the same to match up with the Bulls' energy and try and overbeat them. 50-50 balls, rebounding, whatever. They did not come with the same kind of energy as they did on Sunday, and the Bulls were able to beat them better, beat them this time. So really is the flat energy and the poor play of our players is the reason why we lost. I will not blame the refs, even though they were not totally fair in the middle. All right, let's see. The team stats will reflect this because I looked at them and they actually did something last night that they weren't able to. Well, they actually did it on Sunday too. They shot better than us all around. 52% from the field for the Bulls and 42% for us. We got 5 more field goal attempts than the Chicago Bulls, and we made 6 less field goals. We had 5 more attempts from the field, and they made 6 more field goals than us. That's a big problem right there. 3-pointers were exactly the same, 9 of 28 for both teams. Now, if we could have made a little bit more 3-pointers, we didn't shoot too horrible there. But it was really Fred and Gary that did all the 3-point shooting for us. Otherwise, nobody else really was involved in 3-point shooting for us very much. There was one 3-pointer otherwise from Hernangomez, who came in and had actually a couple of great minutes in the game last night. He had some good minutes, 11 minutes for Hernangomez, 2 of 3 from the field, 5 points. He had a really impressive block. He had a really cool tip in. Offensive tip in that I really liked. And Hernangomez looked great. And I know a lot of people have been down on him. And like some people are even saying, why did we get rid of Yuta because of what he's doing for the Nets and bring in Hernangomez? Well, listen, all these comparisons, everybody makes comparisons. Like everybody's just X equals X equals X. Well, they have different money contracts. There's different situations with them. Hernangomez is a better player than Yuta Watanabe. Y'all may think that he isn't, but he is. And I'll tell you why. Because he is a Eurobasket champion. Once again, y'all are slandering people before they even get a chance to step up the plate and get a swing at the ball. Hernangomez has not gotten any substantial minutes or any chance to really totally prove himself to y'all. Well, he proved a little bit of himself last night, but y'all are jumping ahead. You know, the Nets need Yuta Watanabe to play for them right now and do all this stuff. They're in trouble. They need him for different reasons, cultural reasons, and stuff on the court, energy-wise. Now, we don't need Hernangomez as badly as the Nets need Yuta Watanabe, and that may be why he's playing way more and maybe looks so good to y'all right now. Trust me, Juancho's an upgrade to Yuta. You may not think that right now, but you'll realize it as the year goes on. So just trust me on this one, and you'll see my words come to truth as the year goes further and further. But yeah, that's what I'll say about Juancho Hernangomez right now. He was great to see out there and getting some baskets and doing some helpful things. I really do think that the Zach Lavine not playing on Sunday and having a totally fresh game was a huge part of it. So I will agree with this. Good morning from Cool Cat. Last night we missed our leader on the floor, Pascal. He leads by example on the court, energy, and organization. He makes shots easier for everyone. Sorely missed on offense and defense. I agree with this. He is a leader for our team, and some of that leadership was not taken up and stepped into the shoes last night. There wasn't somebody like Fred was doing what Fred can do. Gary can do what Gary can do. OG did some really interesting things. He wasn't horrible last night, OG. 4 of 12, 5 of 7 from the free throw line, 13 points. 3 steals, 1 assist, 4 rebounds. But there were a lot of turnovers by the starters. Overall, they had 11 turnovers between the 5 of them, and they were just ugly plays, like not taking care of the ball well enough. And OG, he was pretty good. He had some nice dunks, he had some nice steals, but not as good as he was the couple games before this. And he was a minus 12. So it is what it is. It is what it is. But Pascal would have very much helped us in this game last night for sure. For sure. And I think Kem Birch might have even helped us a bit last night in some ways too. Mike saying Scotties' dunk only got second top play of the night from the NBA. The Bulls made adjustments. And hang on, it jumped. The Bulls made adjustments mainly against the bench, and the main starter change. When someone caught in the post, they brought weak side. Yeah, they just were playing way more efficient. And I mean, Lavine, he made some hard shots. We were guarding him pretty well, and we were right up on him. And he was doing a little bit of that kind of Luka stuff or Kyrie, where he's just like, you can't stop him. He's just that good. And he's that badass as a weapon. He's funny because he's so good in that way, but then he's boneheaded with like I said, stepping out of bounds and just kind of like not really concentrating at times. He's a weird player. He's very, very talented. I always really just thought of him as a dunker, and I didn't realize he's such a good shooter. He's a very good shooter from last night. Mike saying, oh yeah, I just read that one. G saying NBA posted the Barnes dunk and had 430,000 likes. He's popular. Oh yeah, that dunk is going to be part of what is going to get him to the forefront. People are going to get attention on him, and they're going to be like, "I'm a Scottie Barnes fan," because I just saw him posterize Nikola Vucevic in like such a powerful way. Yeah, he gained some fans last night from that dunk, and it's really good because it kind of symbolizes and shows. Last year wasn't a fluke. Him being a rookie of the year wasn't a fluke. This dude's for real, and he's very scary. And it's funny because like some people said at moments he looked like Giannis last night, but he really was bad too because he just didn't do a whole lot of anything. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't think it's that he's hurt. I think it's just that he's having a hard time sometimes picking his spots and inserting himself into the narrative of the game as far as I'm going to be the one who makes some shots. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, and being successful at it. He's still getting his legs under him. He's still learning the beats of the NBA schedule and the NBA games inside it. And it's going to take him some time to feel totally confident to grow into his powers and do what he wants to do on the court, like with a very intentional way. In some ways, he's still kind of like letting the game come to him. But as time goes on, he will figure out, well, I can put my will in this instance much more like he did in that dunk last night. So it really is a learning curve. It's time for development, and it's just going to take time. Now, somebody was commenting that they want to see Precious play more because they don't like that he's, getting less minutes right now because he really should be getting good development. Last night, Precious played 14 minutes, and that is totally not enough minutes for him. I agree with this. He got 10 points, 4 of 6 shooting, 4 rebounds, and an assist and a block. But he hasn't looked as sharp, and he's going to have problems similar to what I just described with Scottie Barnes, but he needs the time. Nick, if you're going to play Scottie for development through lumps and tough times, you need to do the same for Precious too, because the more time he's out there, the more it will benefit the Raptors in the long term. Trust me. So yeah, get Precious the minutes, figure it out, carve it out for him. But these young guys, they weren't good in the back-to-back. That's the thing. That's what they were blaming. The young players on the Raptors were not prepared for the back-to-back on this back-to-back in particular, and that really hurt us. Let's see. Tom Duke saying, can't say anything was different with the reffing. Hit job. Well, all right, let's let the siren pass. I can't say that it was totally a hit job. It was not fair in that middle part, but they weren't really the determining factors. So we can't say, like, if the refs are directly involved in the outcome because of something they decide or they do in the game, then I'll say it's a hit job. But if it's not that, the primary cause, you go in and you do the autopsy on a cadaver and you say the primary cause of death here is, heart attack. You got to find the real cause of loss. And last night it was just bad energy and us not matching their energy and not playing as well as them. We got outplayed. is basically what I'll say. That's the reason why we lost. I can't blame the refs, Tom. I can say that they were unfair for a part of the game, but that's the kind of stuff that we have to overcome and beat anyway. And it wasn't like very crucial. Is some of the stuff they did is just kind of like that's the annoying part where okay, you're going to be unfair to us, and they're going to get a lot of calls, and we're not. Guardian Transit saying Scotty did not have a good game. Coloco struggled. Scotty has to realize that he needs to be a scorer with Pascal out. Yeah, I want him to be more aggressive and picking up that slack. 9 shots in the whole entire game. Maybe not enough, Scott Wayne. You had good stat stuff and with 6 rebounds and 5 assists, but we really need more from you. 30 minutes out there and 5 points is not enough, my friend. And hopefully you'll get a little wake-up call to it. Maybe there'll be some tape watching today where Nick says, Scotty, in this instance right here, this is when you should have taken him, backed him down, and just scored on him. Stuff like that. Because there was a lot of Caruso guarding him. There was a lot of littler guys on their lineup. It's weird. At one point, Chicago had kind of the antithesis of our lineup. They had all guards out there, and they were playing like Patrick Williams at center, and Caruso was like their power forward because everybody was short. They had like Dragic out there and Green, and it was just a really small lineup for them, and it worked. Lavine, and it worked. They were killing us, and that shouldn't happen that way. They have lineups like that. We should be bullying them. We should be scoring very easily. There shouldn't be all these problems that were happening at that point when they had a small lineup out there. That was a really weird point in time in the game that I was like, I didn't understand this. Like, they're so small. We should be absolutely dominating them. Well, they made it work, and something that Billy Donovan did made that more effective against us. And like Fred said, we lost this game in the third quarter. We once again came back from halftime flat, and they jumped all over us at the beginning of the third quarter after halftime. And that was really where they just spread apart from us. And it was pretty much double digits for the rest of the game that they were up on us. We had a couple of tries to try and surge up and to overtake them, but nothing good enough to really get over the hump or even get over them. We'd get as close as like maybe 5 points, and then we'd fall back to like 10, 11 points, and then back to 15, 17 points. And we just couldn't sustain a good run to come back at them. And in the third quarter, we got outscored 28-17. That is right there where we lost the game, right there. Because we outscored them in the last quarter, and we really did try and make an earnest effort to close the gap. But just too little, too late, and maybe not enough gas in the tank to try and do what we needed to do to overcome it. Coloco definitely did struggle. And like I said, Nick Nurse has talked about in his press conference that this is the first time Coloco has ever had to play a back-to-back as a starter with starters minutes in the NBA, and that this is the kind of thing that you see from a young player, a rookie, when they have to deal with that kind of turnaround on a back-to-back and travel in the middle, and you're actually getting played a lot. He played a lot on Sunday, and then he got played in the starting lineup last night, and it showed that he wasn't totally ready for that kind of workload yet. He was also getting the foul calls last night that he wasn't getting the other day. The more like the foul calls he got in Dallas last Friday night, because they did kind of call him for some weird shit, and it kind of made him ineffective. That you can really see where if he gets fouls, it really does affect how well he does on the court. When he doesn't get fouls and they're letting him play a little bit, then he's a totally different other player for us. So in some ways, the referees can be gatekeepers on whether Coloco will be a weapon for us or not. And I hate that. But this over time will get better and better as Coloco gets more savvy and learns the NBA game and how to play without the referees taking him out of the game. Because they can, and to a degree, at their own discretion at any time. They can take him out and say, oh, you just fouled here, or oh, you did this. And then boom, he's got 2 fouls, and he's not as effective when he's in foul trouble. We've definitely seen that in the last week, that on Sunday he didn't get in foul trouble, and he was unlocked to a degree. All right, let's keep going. G is saying Raptors have 8 of these back-to-back series. Knicks have 1, and Lakers and Nets have 2. I like these, though, G. I don't think that they're a bad thing. I think that if I was them, I'd be upset because I don't have more of them. there's in some ways it's really good because think about it this way: if we had been the Bulls and we'd lost to the Bulls on the first game, and we got a chance to come back and play them next game, yeah, we want to get back, and that's a part of what this is. The three teams we've played these series with have all been good teams. I think they're playoff teams: Chicago, Philadelphia, Miami, and in pride and good teams. This is how it goes. Nick said it in his post game conference that he's used to playing two-game series, and this is usually statistically what happens. If you think about it, if there's a percentage to win, is usually like around 55 to 45% or 60 to 40% at the most. That's a huge margin on both sides to land on. And it really is kind of a 50-50 thing. So to sweep a two-game series is so difficult, really, really hard. And that is what we're seeing so far in these series so far. And that's just how it is. It's going to be like that. But it'll be interesting to see if we can sweep one of them. I'll bet you we'll sweep the Charlotte ones. We got to do them twice. We get both times we play Charlotte are both two-game series here, and then we'll play a two-game series there against them near the end of the season. So I like them. I don't think that they're a disadvantage. I think they're actually kind of an advantage in some ways. So maybe they may think it's a disadvantage what they did, but they may be wrong and they messed up. And then maybe next year you'll see that all these teams that you listed here that don't have very many will have more. But it is fishy that those three teams in particular have less. And maybe they thought that it wouldn't be good for teams. Well, they're wrong. I think it is good for teams. Andrew Bishop saying, good morning, freaks. Good morning, Andrew Bishop. Good to see you. Hope you're having a great Tuesday so far. It's election day in the States. Y'all get out and vote. If you're on stateside, please get out there and vote. And please vote for democracy. Please vote for freedom. And please vote for the future of the whole entire world and get it right, because this is dangerous. This is very dangerous what's happening today in the United States. Y'all need to get this election right. Trust me. We're all watching. We're watching up here in Canada. They're watching in Europe. They're watching in Asia. They're watching in Africa. Everybody, the whole entire world is watching you, United States, today. So you better get it right. You better get it right today. Callie's saying defense was terrible and shooting was off. I was extremely disappointed. I was too, Callie. I didn't have a stress meter. It was more like, we're just not playing well. Well, that's the way a season goes. There's going to be a certain percentage of games where you just don't have it, a certain percentage of games where you're just so overpowering, and, somewhere in between also. And this may be one of those games where we just didn't have it, just weren't going to have it. And it's too bad. It's just how it is. Freddie played good. Gary played good, and that's really about it. I can only say that our backcourt really played really exceptionally well. The rest of the guys, really not that great. I mean, I won't say OG played super well. I won't say that Precious or Scotty or Coloco or any of those front court guys. Chris Boucher, really not good off the bench last night, which is too bad. He was only in for 14 minutes. He was 0 for 3, no points, just 3 rebounds. Just Chris didn't have it. He just did not have it last night. Otto Porter was fun. We saw him get 2 shots in, 2 for 4, 5 points, and 1 shot at the free throw line. He had 1 assist. So Otto showing a couple little cool things there. And Delano on his birthday, 2 of 7, 0 for 3 from 3-point range, but 2 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, a block, 4 points. Delano had a couple of nice birthday plays in there, and it was nice to see him get out there and do a little bit of stuff on his 23rd birthday. Happy birthday, Delano, and too bad we couldn't get the win for you on your birthday. Thaddeus is 0 for in 10 minutes. Malachi, 4 points in 6 minutes. He was better. 1 of 2 from the field, 2 of 2 at the free throw line, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 turnover. Not really any super special anything off the bench other than Precious. Precious was their best bench player. And then look at the bench scoring. It is 28 to that's 35. 28 to 35. So they definitely outscored us on the bench. And Goran Dragic was a part of that again. 4 of 9 from the field, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 10 points. He was a plus 18. And that's the highest plus minus on their team. Him along with Caruso were plus 18 off the bench. And that's a big factor. They're getting good pluses off their bench. And meanwhile, we're getting goose eggs on our bench from important guys. So, that could be somewhere we could point to where we lost was the bench battle for sure. Yeah, I was disappointed too, Callie. Well, Houston Rockets here on Wednesday night. Let's wipe the slate clean and start over and go and get this next one against a Rockets team that's very gettable. And they've had some weird stuff happening with them recently. I saw a clip earlier in the season of Jabari Smith fighting with Jalen Green in the timeout already this season. I don't know if their number one pick from this season likes Jalen Green or vice versa. So there may be some issues with chemistry on their team already because the body language and the way they were talking to each other made me think that these guys aren't friends. So there may be issues with that being the first round pick for this year doesn't get along with their first round pick from the year before. So yeah, Green and Smith are not necessarily friends, it seems like, from what I saw in one clip. All right, let's keep going. G saying, this is why I tell people that Scotty's not ready as a number one. He came into the league as defense and pass first. He needs to work on his offensive skill set. This is why Pascal is valuable. Yeah, and this may be why on the escalator of coming up to being the guy or doing this is OG's ahead of him, and that OG should be the guy that we're directing things through, or maybe even like Gary. Gary may be more important and easier to do that through because he just has more practice with doing it too. It could be that naturally Precious is easier to go and be the guy like that, and that Scotty still just needs to be what G is saying here, a facilitator and a defense first kind of guy that works within what he naturally feels like, and that him exerting himself too much on the offensive end just may not come naturally to him right now. But over time, he'll get more comfortable with it, and then it will be something like real easy for him. Not easy, but easier for him to go and do. So I think you're right, G. I think you're right. Scotty will get there, but can't put that kind of pressure on him, in my opinion. Also, he needs to rest that ankle. Yeah, I still don't believe he's hurt. I know y'all are saying that his ankle and stuff, but I don't believe it. I think he's fine. I think he's just having the growing pains of a young NBA player in his second year. Monique saying, good morning, stay focused, go Raptors. Very succinct, very easy, 3 parts. Good morning. It's the morning. Have a good time. Have good stuff happen. Stay focused. Stay focused on the moment. Stay present. Stay now. Don't worry about last night. Don't get too ahead. Just worry about right now and going forward and Houston Rockets tomorrow and go Raptors. Very simple way of life. Mantra for the Raptorfreak call, go Raptors. Yeah, I like that, Monique. Thank you. Seymour saying, Boucher hit Dragic in the head with the ball was my favorite play of the game. I'm glad you brought this up, Seymour. He did do that. It was so good. I was like, did he really do that? Yeah, he did. I think I just saw him do that. Dragic had his back to him, and I guess Chris needed to get the ball alive again because he had picked up his dribble and he's holding it. And he did one of these plays that we're seeing a lot on youth leagues lately where people are bouncing the ball off people's faces or backs of their heads for trick shots. But he did it basically so he could pick up his dribble. And Goran had his back to him, and he put the ball off the back of his head and bounced it and caught it back so he could like move again. And that was so brilliant. I love that. And it made Goran look like an idiot. And I don't know if that was part of why Chris did it, but I love you for that, Chris Boucher. You may not have scored any points last night, but much like Scotty with that thunderous dunk, I'm going to remember you bouncing the ball off of Goran Dragic's head for a long, long time from now. And that maybe the 2 coolest plays in this game were by guys who had bad games, but they were memorable plays that we will remember forever. And I loved it too, Seymour. I was rolling on the ground after that. I was like, did he really just do that? I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, yes, Chris. Off the back of his head. It was hilarious. Yeah, G saying, Dragic is so dirty. His low-key elbows and pushes. I know. I don't understand. I mean, listen. All right, he's on your team. You love him, Chicago people, but there's some Canadian fans up here that fight for Dragic, like so hard against all us, like people like us. And I think part of it is national identification. Maybe they're Slovenian and they're like, we must protect our countrymen and talk good about him up here. And then there's people out west, like, I don't know, maybe they're just white people. And they're just like, you guys should respect Dragic more or something like that. Why do you hate him? Maybe it's because he's white and they're like they're white supremacists and they get mad that people are coming. I don't know what it is, but there's people that support Dragic in Canada that get mad at us when we are booing him. And I don't totally get that. And what G is saying here is he's a goon. He does dirty shit on the down low. We've known this for 10, 12, 15 years, however fucking long he's been in this league. We know he's a dirty player. So once again, I'll say this to all y'all that don't understand why we boo Dragic and who he is. He is a goon. In the NHL, it would be somebody like Ty Domi or somebody like Donald Boucher, some of these big, dudes that are just out there to beat people up or just to do like dirty shit to people, enforcer kind of stuff. That is why we hate him, is because he has that label. And for anybody who's a more hockey fan, that is the exact reason why. You can understand that. So that I don't understand why people get so mad at us for coming after him, because he is dirty as fuck and he is doing stuff that people don't see. And that's why. Mason Culligan saying rough game to watch last night. We missed Pascal last night for sure. And all around, we were slow on defense and offensively. Now it was a back-to-back. But Scotty with a poster jam. Yeah, very succinct synopsis of the game last night. Mason Culligan, I think is exactly right. Pascal would have helped us immensely. We were not good on the defensive end, and we were not good on the offensive end. We had both sides. Usually one side is doing real well and one side struggles, but we had both sides struggle last night. We usually have defenses just fine, and maybe our offense completely struggles, and that's part of why we struggle. Well, last night we had problems on both sides, and Chicago was scoring way too easy. We were not playing the kind of defense we're supposed to play last night. And then obviously we got our regular drought period where we could not find the basket at all in the third quarter. And that was the other thing that absolutely killed us. So both sides of the ball we failed on. Usually we could say, yeah, we had a really good defensive effort, but they were just so good on offense that they beat us. I don't think we can actually say that. I think that we didn't play defense well enough to really stop them enough to even get competitive in this game. So it sucks. But yeah, the poster jam, fantastic. Let's take the little victories. Let's take the fun stuff like the Chris Boucher bounce it off of Goran Dragic's head and the dunk by Scotty. And we'll have those at least. But, these 2-game series, they're not easy to sweep. So when you get the split, especially when you have to go to Chicago, their arena was not nice to us. They booed the hell out of our players because I guess they're trying to get back for Goran. But yeah, when our guys were getting introduced, the fans in there were booing the hell out of the Toronto Raptors. Really, really were. And that may be part of the side product, a byproduct of these 2-game series. We play one game in Toronto. Well, we have to go to their arena, and they just saw us play against them and play in a certain way. The fans are really animated. And they came with energy last night to help the Bulls win. And that was part of the factor, was the home court advantage was a factor in both these games. The Chicago announcers talked about this. Stacey King talked about how we had a real advantage on Sunday because of our home court. And, well, they counterbalanced that with their home court and their advantage being at home last night. And that's part of the reason why we looked so bad also, is we were on the road and we did not come with that road warrior attitude that we normally do, that we do so well on the road because we come ready and we come and be the aggressor and we do that kind of stuff. We didn't do that last night. And that is part of the reason why we lost. Mike's saying help so Vooch wasn't beat one versus one, similar to the Giannis Wall thing. And football offensive line defending, the help came from Scotty on the 3, hence the open shots and him letting the defense force him. The thing with Vucevic is the game on Sunday, I was saying Koloko did a pretty effective job with him. Even though Vucevic had a fairly good game, he didn't look totally out of place against him. Well, last night he did. It was not a good matchup last night. The mismatch of Vucevic against him was not good because he did bully him. He pushed him down and beat him up down around the basket. Vucevic, 15 points, 13 rebounds. His second double-double in 2 nights. 4 assists, 2 blocks. He did have 5 turnovers, 7 of 14 from the field. Vucevic was very good. Now, he wasn't shooting threes yesterday. He did get 1. But he really did throw his weight around on Koloko and kind of messed him up in some ways. So that was part of it too. Is I knew Vucevic's not a good matchup for him. Christian had some luck on Sunday, but it showed more realistically what the kind of the matchup is last night. And it's too bad. It really is too bad. And talking about all the Giannis stuff and Scotty, yeah, I mean, we weren't switching right, and they were kind of beating us in different things. They didn't even shoot that well. Like Chicago did not play that well last night to beat us. We had a very big they had a huge wide range of margin of error that they could into and still win. That's wrong. We had to cinch it up tight and say, like, we're going to make you pay for every single mistake you make. Zach Lavine steps out bounds. Good. Then that's going to add up to you losing and us winning. Well, we didn't take advantage of any of that. We weren't good ourselves. We had a lot of stupid stuff like travels and stepping out of bounds ourselves. So we really needed to tighten it up because they weren't exactly tightened up, but they still did more to win because they shot better and they had better energy. They didn't tighten things up. They had a lot of dumb turnovers, but so did we. And we didn't have the energy and we didn't shoot as well. So that was really the difference because they didn't really play that well. Honestly, they kind of played like garbage, but they still got the victory, the Bulls. They were really making a lot of mistakes all over the place, and they didn't shoot that well. They could have shot way better than they did against us. They shot in this game. They did shoot 50%, but they were missing a lot of shots. It seemed like at one point. All right, let's see what else you guys are saying. G saying, me personally, I'm a bit worried about his ankle. It looks like he overcompensates to not hurt it, which throws off his mechanics, but can also cause injury elsewhere in his body. Once again, if I don't hear that he has an ankle injury, if I don't think he has an ankle injury, he doesn't have one. I think that it's just weird, like way the games are going or something like that. In my world, maybe I'm delusional, and you're right, G. But in my world, it doesn't exist at this point. That's me being the positive Raptors fan and saying, I'm just gonna say Scottie doesn't have an ankle injury. I haven't heard anything about it. He's not talking about it. They haven't brought it up. It's not in the injury report, so it doesn't exist to me. Let's just say that he's not playing well, and it doesn't have anything to do with anything injury-wise. So I'm gonna have a difference in this way, and maybe it's just that I'm not listening or not. I haven't seen anything official. Let's just put it that way. We can speculate. We can say, oh, because he hurt his ankle this time, or say we don't know how hurt he is. He's seriously, like it'll look like he twisted his ankle, and then 2 days later he's on his Twitch. We ask him, how's your ankle? He's, oh, it's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. So I don't think that you guys I think you guys thinking that he has a chronic ankle issue is not necessarily true. And I know you may think that because the way he's moving or something. I don't know. I don't want to read into this or make this any more real. I want to poo-poo it and say this isn't a real thing. We'll just see. Let's see if he looks better against Houston. Jalen Green, that's his buddy. He wants to get up for this game here in Toronto tomorrow, and maybe he looks way better. And it was like, no, his ankle's fine. There's nothing wrong with him. So Lumpy's saying Scottie is definitely hurt. His face says it all. His running gait shows it. Okay, you guys are really giving me this evidence and stuff. Maybe, sure, maybe he is, but I'm still going to be a disbeliever. And it's like, no, I'm not listening. Until it's said officially or something like that. Maybe they say he's probable for the game, but his ankle is hurt. I'm not going to put any official on this because it could be all kinds of different things. Like I said, Scott makes a lot of faces with his face, like on the court. He makes faces of jubilance. He makes faces of disgust. He makes faces of incredulous. I can't believe that you just called that. So I don't want to go off his faces too much because he can make pained faces because he's like mad or something at a call or something. So I don't know. You guys are probably right. And I just want to not look at reality. Nako's saying this was a hard one to watch. Fred, Scottie, and Gary were our best. Yeah. Right now, Pascal is our most important player. For sure. Pascal is. But we should be able to carry the slack without him being there. But you have my 3 stars right there. Fred, Gary, Scottie. Those are my 3 stars for the games. Cool Cat saying if Scottie's foot ankle is not hurting, then it means we don't understand his expressions in body language when limping in pain or wincing when walking. And I don't mean his side to side sway. Yeah, I don't know. Once again, we can talk about this ad nauseum, but until I hear something official from the team or Josh Lewenberg has a tweet that says this is about Scottie's ankle, I'm not going to believe it because it's not official. It could be officially, yeah, that's true, because we know Kyle Lowry played the whole playoffs with the championship run with very much having serious injuries, but they weren't official injuries because they weren't disclosed. Now, if that's the case with what's going on with Scottie, I'm just not going to believe them until they're real because they're put in press and that they're available to the public as public knowledge. Otherwise, I'm just going to say he's fine, he's playing, he's okay, and everything's okay. Because he probably said the same thing himself. He may lie to himself just like I am. That he's like, no, guys, I'm not hurt. And he's like limping. He's like, no, I'm not hurt. I want to play. I just hope everything's all right. And y'all, please, let's talk about him being healthy. Good vibes, healthy vibes. Hot Take Jason, I went on Twitter today and saw people still hating on Fred. Come on now. We owe him an apology. These people, once again, Hot Take Jay, these people are not Raptors fans. Anybody who can hate Fred, they're not truly a fan of the Raptors. He's done so much for our team and our franchise that if you hate Fred VanVleet, you're not really a fan of the Raptors. You cannot hate Fred VanVleet and be a fan of the Raptors. I'm sorry. At this point, you just can't do it. After the last 2 games, you just can't. So Hot Take Jay, you give him a hot take and say, you're not a Raptors fan. Just go around and turn around and send him a reply, because there's no way you can be like this with him and understand his whole body of work, who he is, where he came from, how much he's overcome, and be like, wow, this dude is the ultimate underdog in the NBA. And you still hate him? What is wrong with you? You're going to be so nitpicky? You can't see the amazing shooting that he did last night? Like, he was so on fire at some points. Like, those threes looked so nice last night. Come on. He made 6 threes last night in an NBA game. When is the last time any of those jokers talking about him on Twitter ever made 6 games in an NBA game? Nope. They never done it themselves. So they need to shut the fuck up. They never made 6 threes in an NBA game ever in their life, let alone 5 the game before and now 6 in the next game. So these people have no room to criticize or hate Fred. They're nowhere near where he is on his level and what he's doing. Guardian Transit saying one issue with this Raptors team is that they seem to have a defensive lapse every game that gets them into trouble, making it hard to come back. This team was built on the premise of no lapses allowed. Yeah, I would agree with this. There is some points where we aren't as sharp and teams may go on runs and all of a sudden they have a double-digit lead and we're playing from behind. That this is a pattern we've had over the last 2 years, this year and last year. And we want to limit it. Like, I know that we're actually doing better this season at not giving up huge leads right away in the first half. Like in the first quarter last year, we'd be down by 12, like 10 minutes in the game. And all of a sudden we have our first margin where we have to make it up. And then usually there'd be a second one in the second half. We'd have to make up a second one later too. Well, it's really good that we're limiting that, at least. That at the start of the game, we're not getting blown out right at the beginning and making it hard for ourselves right at the beginning. In fact, we are quite often the team that comes and jumps out on a lead on the other team in the first quarter in this season. So that's at least an improvement in that, I would say. But this is true. The Nick Nurse requires these guys to have the full, perfect defensive output and what they do for the whole 48 minutes of the game. They does not want to see an easy basket like a layup or a dunk by a Chicago Bull where we were just standing there and we didn't, challenge them. And that happened a few times in the 2 games in the last 2 days. So it's natural that there's not going to be perfect defense, but you want to cover up as much as possible and definitely not let it lead into some sort of run where they bust it open and all of a sudden they're scoring real easy. There were times in the game where it seemed like we were kind of cutting their water off, but there was no real plumbing job last night. We really did not stop them in any kind of way substantially because they scored 30 points, 28 points, 28 points, and then 25 points. So we did kind of slow them down a little bit in the fourth quarter, but not really. 25 plus points in all 4 quarters yesterday. That's not good. We got to get them into the teens for one of the quarters like we did in the third, or even like just in the low 20s, like 20 or 21 points in the quarter. That's much better. So, all right, let's see. Fred is the new Pascal for this idiot fans. Yeah, well, whatever. Like I said, these people are going to find something to criticize or be upset about because they're just miserable fucks in their own lives. That's like half of what it is. It's just they're miserable in their own goddamn life, and that is why they're miserable about Fred. It has nothing to do with anything else. Nameless is saying, what a dumb game, man. Ref screwed us. I mean, it was dumb, but it's also a learning experience. And I can say, yeah, the ref screwed us slightly, but it wasn't really the reason why we lost. But yeah, they did slightly screw us, but it wasn't too horrible. It wasn't too horrible. They could have been way worse towards us. Click saying everyone played like complete garbage except for Fred. You got to include Gary too. Gary played really well last night. He was the one who hit our first shot last night. He had a nice little shot in the lane. And whenever Gary shoots over 50%, that's a good game for him. So if he shoots 7 or 12, that's a good game for him. And 3 steals, and 4 assists, 3 rebounds. He played solid, Gary Trent, in 33 minutes. 19 points, and he was even only a -2. He wasn't one of our worst minuses on the team. He was actually really close to being even on plus minus. So I would have to include Gary with them, but I would say everybody else was pretty garbage. Also, I would give a bone to Precious in this game also. I'd say that Precious, Gary, and Fred were actually the only 3 that played well. Precious was okay. He just didn't play enough. Click saying everyone, yeah, I read that. G saying the refs were horrible towards Fred and Barnes. Yeah. I mean, in some ways, for sure. I won't argue with this. The refs were not on our side, but we can't blame them for why we lost. Isaac Campbell saying Raptors are still figuring out rotations without Pascal and Birch, for that matter. Nurse is playing the best 5 players available. Scotty Barnes is glue even on a subpar night. For sure. And his stats, other than his points, really show that with the assists and the rebounds. Yeah, Nick said this, and he reiterated this, and this was directly for people like me. He says, guys, I'm going to play the best 5 players available at all times. I am sorry. This is my philosophy, and this is why I overplay the starters. And this is why I'm going to say this defiantly, and just so you hear me, that I am committed to making this team win, this franchise to win games, and this is the way I see it will happen. Is that I overplay my starters so much that you guys think that I'm overplaying them and you complain about their minutes. He's very defiant about this. So understand this is why he's doing it. He wants the best, the creme de la creme. He wants to take the lemons in the bunch that have the most sour, best juice and use those lemons to squeeze to make the best premium lemonade. He's going to take the 5 best lemons and squeeze them into that lemonade. He doesn't want the okay lemons, the bench lemons. He wants those very best 5 premium lemons. Good lemonade. Yeah. But no, and Birch on the down low has been somebody that we've really missed in these 2 games against Chicago. He, like I said, he's such a good person to play against Vucevic that he could have helped us last night in Chicago for sure. So don't forget Kem Birch not being there also. And I'm glad you brought him up, Isaac Campbell. And yeah, Pascal and Birch, we need both of them. G saying the refs were coddling Dragic. Dragic was 2-handed pushing players. You know, there is a little bit of this going on with him. And you're right. The friendship between Dragic and Ed Beloy was very apparent on Sunday, and it was bugging me. The way they were talking to each other and smiling, like, you know, because he's been in the league a long time. He probably does have some ref friends that let him get away with some of his dirty shit. And I won't disagree with what you're saying. The refs probably do coddle Goran Dragic to a degree. And you see how he talks to them. And like when he gets mad about a call, he really kind of seems like he's privileged when he's doing it. It's kind of like acting like, oh, it's like the audacity of the referee to call against me. I must talk to him and like let him know that this is not right for Mr. Dragic. You know, it's kind of like that. I get that feeling from him in his relationships with the refs. But he has been around a long time. So obviously he has relationships with these referees. And maybe he's just smart and he knows how to get away with stuff around them too, as part of it. But maybe they are a little bit looking the other way and letting him have veteran stuff because he's accrued it over years and years in the league. But yeah, he's annoying. He's so annoying. Monique saying some fans pointing fingers at Nick Nurse after this loss. Yeah, that's silly and stupid. You got to blame the players for this one. I will blame Nick Nurse when it's his fault, but this is not his fault. This is an overall problem with the guys just weren't ready with energy and came and brought the right kind of attitude last night. It's too bad. And they know it. They'll talk about it. Fred will say, you know, I'm the leader. And this is kind of what Isaac Campbell was saying yesterday is I'm the leader. I take responsibility. This team doesn't do well. It reflects on me and I'll take the blame and be the guy who takes responsibility. So I don't think that this is Nick's fault and that anybody who's saying that is kind of stupid. G saying they were leaving Raps open in the corner and they couldn't make those shots. Yeah, that's too bad. They were, you know, there was a lot of stuff we could have done way better and cleaned up. You know, once again, sometimes you're just going to have games that just go like this. And that was what it was to a degree. And it's not totally worth like getting too into it and saying, okay, this is who we really are or anything like that, because this is not who we are. We had an off night, and people have off nights in their lives and stuff like that. And that's just what this was. We had an off night, and it was bad. It was bad. Let's see. Lumpy's saying refs were whack. Yeah, yeah, I'll agree with that. Eric Lewis and Jason Goble, you were annoying me last night. John Butler was okay out of the three of them, but the other two were really bad. They were really bad, really annoying. All right, let me keep going. Jumped again. Let me just make sure I get every question, every comment. Logical saying we are working the real playoff bench rotation now that Otto is back. I've seen this so far. Barnes, Gary Trent, Otto, Boucher, Precious in game 1. And in game 2, we saw Banton, Gary Trent, Otto, Boucher, and Precious. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Like, I really think that he held out Delano from Sunday's game because it was going to be his birthday on Monday, and he was going to play him more on Monday night. That was always the plan. And that may have been the reason why Delano didn't get into Sunday's game, but he played on Monday. This is like Nick's like, it's your birthday on Monday, and I want you to play really good on your birthday. So we're going to save you for your birthday. And I think that may have been part of it there with that. But yeah, that is kind of what you do in the playoffs is sometimes you have different bench guys that you use in different games to have them fresh from night to night. And we saw like on one night, we saw more of certain guys. And then last night we saw guys we didn't see on Sunday, like Malachi and Delano and Juancho. Nako's saying Doug Smith is probably my least favorite media member. I'm pretty sure he was pushing the hardest to trade Scottie for KD. He's really weird. Like, I don't get it. Doug, you love the Raptors. You wrote one of the best books about the Raptors. We the North ever. It's great. It's great. I think that there's some stuff you do, but once again, like when the Raptors are losing, you're too joyful with reporting it, like on their Twitter, and the way that you like kind of announce it, you're kind of gleefully happy when they're losing. And I hate that. It really kind of betrays like who you are in some ways deep down. Like, I don't think you're a happy person. In some ways you have hate in your heart. And that's part of the reason why you were so snarky and the way you cover the Raptors and some of the things. Like, you really fucked up the way you treated Armani Brooks last year. That was really fucked up. And honestly, like, you guys should not be making jokes. I talked about this a bit last season when you did that joke about Armani Brooks and him being on the team. And I said, there's a line. If you're going to be journalists and you're supposed to be unbiased and you're not supposed to be a homer for the Raptors, well, don't fucking make jokes. Don't act like you're a comedian at open mic night and just be on Twitter making little jokes. You're a news source and you're supposed to be factual. And we need you to just stick to the facts, Joe Friday, Dragnet. And when you guys get into your little jokes, Michael Grange, Josh Lewenberg, Blake Murphy, Samson Folk, if it's funny and it's harmless, okay, sure. But sometimes y'all's shit is not funny and it's irresponsible. And I want y'all to take that journalistic oath. I don't have to take it. I'm not no fucking journalist. I'm biased as fuck. So I ain't going to do the same thing that y'all got to do because y'all got paying jobs that you're journalists and you're supposed to be unbiased. So y'all need to go ahead and stick to doing journalism stuff and leave the jokes to people like NBA Chev and myself, because y'all don't need to be joking on y'all's Twitter. And sometimes when your jokes are about the Raptors not doing so well and you're laughing on it, fuck you, Doug Smith, is what I will say in that way. Yeah, there you go. That's for Doug Smith from me and Nako the Nacho. Fuck you. Seymour Pape is saying refs need podium time. I have some questions. I like this. Sheriff Seymour Pape. Let's go round them out. Let's bring them in and arraign them and put them up on the stand so we can find out what happened. Yes. Dun 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 dun. I love this. Yeah. Well, why don't we do this? Why can't we fine the referees for getting calls wrong? If the calls are wrong and they have the 2-minute report come out later, this is a real good way to make them get the calls right. Make them pay out of their paycheck that they got a call wrong and they screwed over a team for a loss. Maybe they'll get the calls more right in the future if they know they're going to get their pay cut because they fucked up a call in the last 2 minutes. Maybe that would work real well to get them to do the calls right. They want to hand out $1,000, $2,000 technicals, everybody. Well, maybe they need to get a little penalization for not doing their job right at the end of the game. The 2-minute report comes out. The team still lost. They can't go back and change it. Well, get some money from the motherfucker for getting it wrong, is what I will say to that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, do that. But those media interviews with the referees that you're talking about in Seymour Pape, if we did this, they would be such a circus. They would be such a circus, and they would be crazy. And they don't want the referees to get scrutinized like that or have ability to be on the mic. And maybe some of their personalities wouldn't fit with this. They might get up there and cause some shit. You might hear Tony Brothers say bitch ass motherfucker on the microphone and say, why did you call that call on Spencer Dinwiddie? He's a bitch ass motherfucker. That's why. Isaac Campbell saying, I don't blame Nurse. He won the first game with his rotation choices. Game 2, defensively, we failed to keep Lavine from creating looks and attacking the paint. That is it right there. That is it. Lavine was fresh. We didn't contain him. We contained Demar again. Demar didn't do jack shit yesterday. Well, we didn't contain Lavine, and he was fresh, and he absolutely killed us. That's why I give the credit to Zach Lavine. That's why we won. And he wasn't even that good. He stepped out of bounds, did all kinds of stupid shit. He wasn't that good of a player. And honestly, we should have won against a player like that made so many mistakes. But we made more mistakes, and that's too bad. It's just how it goes sometimes. Mike's saying, not going to lie, people don't want to blame Scotty, but this one was kind of on him. So they're going after the coach. Casual fans tend to blame the coach and never the star. And Vogel got axed when it was the star. This is true. This is true to an extent. I don't understand why everybody has to go head hunting after every single fucking game. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? We can win 9 out of 10 games and we'll lose one game and y'all are head hunting for somebody to blame for games. Let's just stop pointing fingers, because honestly, it's that old thing. You say when you point fingers at someone, 4 are pointing back at you, or at least 3. I mean, that doesn't make sense. The thumb could be like, I don't know, you point it back this way. I don't know. This is what I'm saying. Y'all want to point fingers at the mirror, baby, because you have the mindset that even wants to come and criticize the team and come down on people just because they lost one fucking game. Get over yourself. You're not that all unimportant that you can just criticize these guys because they lost one fucking game on the second night of a back-to-back on the road against a team they just played that made adjustments with a good coach named Billy Donovan, that has a player like Zach Lavine that just returned the lineup with fresh legs, that didn't play in the first game of the back-to-back and was ready to play. You guys are idiots if y'all don't understand that is part of the reason why we lost last night. And are you such a fucking perfectionist in your life, at your job, that you do every fucking thing correctly every single day? So just stop, fans. Stop being overly critical. You are not Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert. You do not give out 2 thumbs up, thumbs down bullshit, studs or duds. Fuck all that shit. Just give them the good stuff and celebrate with them when they do good things, and then go easy on them when they haven't done exactly well. I tell you right now, if they were a 28-win team for the whole season, I would still treat them with love and pride, and y'all would shit all over him. You would shit all over that team so bad, some of y'all. But the real ones, the ones that are here, we would stand by this team, even if we were one of the worst teams in this league. So I would just go ahead and not be fans if y'all are going to get this upset about one little loss to Chicago Bulls on one night. Just don't even be fans. Just go away. Go root the Jays. Go root for the Leafs. Go root for somebody else. Don't even be a Raptors fan, because we don't want you. If you're going to turn on the Raptors after one fucking game in Chicago and be all critical and be like, oh, they suck and all this, you guys aren't paying attention. You're not looking at the whole thing. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, but good comment, Mike. Thank you. G saying these mini-series will definitely load managed players, which the league may have an issue with. The load management rule is really kind of dumb in some ways, but I understand there's going to be a weird balance. Like, we're really going to need real reasons, and maybe like doctors' real notes and saying, yeah, we looked at Fred's back. It's stiff. But this is all kind of like you can make shit up. Like, you can fucking say, I have IBS for the day. I can't play today. I have IBS. They're going to go and check out his fucking irritable bowel syndrome? No, they're not. They're going to just say it like he had IBS. What, they got a guy investigating it? It was like, this motherfucker has IBS? I don't know. Let's go check and see if he's taking the Pepto or something like that. They're going to have some sort of insurance investigator that comes out and checks these motherfuckers to see if they're actually load managed or actually like really hurt or not. I don't know. Why would they have these investigators? Why would they pay money for this? So it's really weird how they can, like, I don't know, penalize teams for like, ooh, you're faking that they're hurt. I don't know. I don't know how they draw the line of this. This is such a gray area because it's like on the scale of things, people can be hurt. Like, oh, my pinky hurts. I can't play. Well, his pinky hurts. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. Monique saying my 3 stars are Fred, Scotty, Gary. Bonus OG, keep shooting, Gary. Yeah, very similar to how I see it, Monique. Fred, number 1 star for sure. He was just great. Gary was my 2nd star. And Scotty is really just for that dunk. In some ways, I think what Logical is saying, Scotty is probably partly to blame for how we lost last night. But, I don't want to put it on any single person. There's a whole load that a lot of these guys can share in why they lost last night. And that's probably what they're talking about right now at the OVO Center watching it. Right this very second. They're in that room right now, I'll bet you, looking at the tape, and they're saying this kind of stuff. Andrew saying, be patient. It's hard to win on the road. Yeah, see, this is somebody with perspective. This is somebody who's mature and has a mature perspective about things. They're not just like jumping off a bridge after one fucking game like some of these Raptor fans. It's crazy. Keep perspective, y'all. We win some and we lose some. This is the way this league is. We're not going to be the fucking Warriors and win all of our games except for 10. We're going to lose some games also. It's just we want to win way more games than we lose. And there's going to be some games that we're just going to lose. And that's just what was last night was. G saying some Nets fans are becoming Raptors fans. They are very frustrated with their organization. That's awesome. You know what? They probably are the gateway drug on that is Yuta Watanabe. They probably like love Yuta right now. Yuta is like the most popular net in like the last couple years right now. It seems like they're putting him on the forefront of all their PR, everything, the previews and stuff. They're putting him all over there, and that may be the gateway. They're like, wow, Yuta's so fun. Let's go look at old Yuta stuff from Toronto. Oh, wait, look at these highlights. Wow, he's not only the fun guy in Toronto. There's other fun guys in Toronto to watch, like Precious and Scotty. Ooh, I want to watch more Toronto. I'm no problem with this. Y'all can come and shove it up with us. Chef turned his back on the New York Knicks a few years ago because of their ineptitude and they're just like the pain of being a New York Knicks fan. And he came to our side. And some will say he came to the dark side. Well, sure, fine. They don't frame it like that in the United States that we're the dark side. We'll be motherfucking Darth Vader. So y'all, you want to come and meet us, Nets Nation? You sick of your bullshit with your team and y'all your bullshit, your Kyrie, your Kevin, your Ben Simmons? You go ahead and come and be on our side. Yeah, we love having fans in other cities that used to be fans of other teams because we got them on both coasts. You go see Top Line Sports, Chris's Sports Corner. He's a big Raptors fan now, but he's a Laker fan. And then we got Chev. Chev was a Knicks stan, but now he's Raptors stan. And we love having Chev in our group. And maybe that's part of the reason why they're coming too, is because NBA Chev is in their city and they're hearing a New York voice talking up the Raptors. And they're like, well, if Chev can do this, maybe I can too. And there's something about being rebellious also. This is the reason why there's a contingency of Nets fans here in Toronto that are out in Scarborough. They all wear Brooklyn Nets stuff all the time. And I would be riding a bus in Scarborough. I'll be wearing all my Raptor stuff. And we'd be looking at each other real funny. This was maybe about 7 or 8 years ago. Before the championship, we'd be battling Brooklyn with Paul Pierce. And Masai Ujiri had said, fuck Brooklyn. And I was sitting on this bus and we're going out to Scarborough and I'm going to see my grandma out there. And this dude was making these dirty looks at me because I'm wearing Raptors gear and he's wearing all Brooklyn gear. And he looked like he was ready to stand up and we were going to go to throw hands in the middle of the bus just because of the gear we were wearing, because it was a little amped up because Masai said, fuck Brooklyn. And yeah, I was about to fight a Brooklyn Nets fan on the Scarborough bus, 86 bus. Oh, man. Oh, gosh. All right, let's see. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Nameless is saying, how is there no board of ethics? How are they allowed to have standards every single game? What do you mean, like board of ethics? How you mean with the referees, or you mean with the players, or you mean with the fans? I don't know. You probably mean the referees. What do you mean board of ethics? You mean like not doing Amadoka stuff? I don't know. You got to elaborate, Nameless. Just give me a little more elaboration on who you want a board of ethics for and we'll talk about it. David's saying, morning all. I think all of the same team back-to-backs will pay dividends come playoff time. It will be a skill to manage these as well. That's Dizzy B, David. Yeah, I agree with this. They're really good playoff practices, and the ones at the end of the season against Charlotte and Boston will be especially helpful. At the very end of the season, we have 2 of these in a row, and then Milwaukee to finish the season. And I think those will be really good ramp up kind of like practice for playing the same team a couple times in a row for the playoffs. Mason is saying Raptors need to dig deep in games like this. We are young. That is the one thing we have on our side, but we need to continue getting better at both sides of the ball. Raptors are still a great team. That's right. We are still a good team. Like I said, teams have bad nights, and we had a bad night. We didn't come right. Monique saying, good seeing Mama Van Vliet being interviewed. Yeah, I heard that Mrs. Danforth got interviewed on the game yesterday. I was watching the Chicago feed, so I did not see her interview. But that's great. You know, Fred had like 250 people at the game last night, that he brought a whole bunch of kids from Rockford to the game, and that he had a huge amount of people there just because of him, his family, his friends, and a bunch of kids. Nameless is saying, we can't bully anybody or enforce our will because the refs don't allow it. How is that even an issue? How is that something we're concerned about? The whole sport is an entire gimmick. Okay. Well, listen, they do have the discretion to stop us from being too physical at times. And they sometimes let us play and they sometimes don't. They sometimes call it really close. And it can really stifle our team because it really kind of stops us from doing what we do all out and makes us kind of second guess. Well, the referees are really kind of holding us back because they want a certain level of like this or this. And I understand what you're saying. And then it's not the same night in, night out. It can be very different each night. And what you're alluding to is like basketball, more like wrestling, where it's like they really try and guide the outcome of games with the referees, kind of like how somebody would book matches in wrestling. They would want this to happen in this game or this to happen in this match. I don't know. I think it's weird. And like it's night by night basis with the ref crew. Like really what I do with the ref check is really, really important to kind of check in and see who we have and what the possibility of them being funny with what they're doing is. But it really is a night by night thing. It can change. And certain crews will do that. Like Ed Malloy let them play on Sunday. He did not call a lot of stuff and he swallowed the whistle, and that actually benefited our team. But last night they called it a little more tighter, and that did not benefit our team. So I see what you're saying, Nameless. Mike saying, I figured out Flynn, by the way. Been thinking and watching him. I've solved it. I put the puzzle together finally. Part 2 is going to deliver the truest truth of Flynn because I haven't heard it yet. All right. Well, learn more about Malachi Flynn on Logical Raptors Fanatics YouTube channel. He will not tell us what it is. He wants you to go and see it on his channel. So go and find out more about Malachi Flynn from Mike on Logical Raptors Fanatic. Let's see. G saying, Nameless, it was frustrating for sure. Barnes was getting smacked, and that was okay. I know he gets hit a lot, and they don't do nothing. And the thing I hate about that is I hope that it doesn't make Scottie think that playing for the Raptors is going to make his career harder because he won't get any respect with the refs. And that in some ways they do that to try and encourage him, maybe possibly when his contract is up and he's a free agent, to leave Toronto. Because they always say, well, listen, you're not going to get any calls here. We're going to let them beat you up as long as you're on Toronto. But hey, if you're playing for the Knicks, we'll let you get anything. I hate to think that that is something that the NBA does to manipulate things in weird ways to try and get stars to leave teams by calling fucked up calls because they're on the Toronto Raptors. And then boom, magically they're on another team and they get all the calls in the world. Yeah, we're watching you, referees, and if you're doing this kind of shit, we're going to call you out on it. And I hope this isn't the case. But they really are letting young Scott get a lot of abuse right now. He's getting hit and he's getting and ones, and they're not calling it. And it's too bad. But he's still real young, and that is part of the reason why he has no respect in this. But hopefully it'll get better for him, especially if he grows into more superstar powers. And then they start treating him more like that. Seymour saying consistency is key. We're not playoff ready yet, but so much time for this team to gel. I think we are. It's just that we had a dud game last night. If this was the playoffs and this was the second game of a playoff series, we would have came with much different energy. I think that they just didn't take things seriously enough. It may be that there were too many good vibes after the way we won on Sunday that they kind of were like, yeah, we should be able to beat them again easy. Well, Zach Lavine showing up made that way harder, and they didn't match the task to have to take on with Zach Lavine being added to their lineup. And maybe they were a little casual because they handled them a certain way on Sunday. And some of it was kind of easy. And they're like, oh, we can just do this again, duplicate this. No. You cannot come into the game like that. You cannot think just because something happened on Sunday this way, this is going to happen like this on Monday. Billy Donovan's a good coach. He made adjustments, and he had a whole other new player come in and help them with the balance. Let's see. Logical saying silver bullet. Yes. Nameless is saying, Lex, that's crazy. It is not good to play the same team back to back. That's insane. No matter how it's sliced, that's definitely misinformation. No, I think it is. It is more for testing and trial and stuff. This is the kind of way a lot of teams do things that, to have a series with a team, it really kind of gives you a chance to see how they would adjust and see how they would change things. And it really gives you a mini playoff kind of experience as far as, this is what they'll do in their bag of tricks. Now, if we play the Bulls or Miami or Philadelphia in the playoffs, we have something to look at from the season about, well, we did this in game 1 against Philadelphia and we kicked their ass. And then the second game, well, Maxey stood up and did this. We can have a history of looking at that kind of stuff. That can actually help us and inform us for playoff series at the end of the year. Now, back to back is different. Like, are you talking about the 2 nights in a row right after another? Yeah, that's not good. But the series themselves are good as far as like you're playing the same team 2 games in a row. I think that that's actually good. And, maybe it doesn't seem like it is. And maybe we can disagree on this. But to me, it's a good thing. And it's just that it's new and everybody's not sure about it. And they're seeing that they're not having total success with them. And they're like, oh, this isn't a good thing because we're 1-1. Well, I think it actually is a good thing in some ways, because who knows, we would have been 1-1 in these series anyway. And like I said, they give you the practice of a little mini series that is good for the playoffs later. But we can disagree on this, Nameless. You may be right, and a lot of other people's opinion agree with you. But this is the way I look at it. To me, it feels like it's a good thing. Monique saying Otto officially feeling comfortable out there in just 4 games, and Fred is locked in. Yeah, Otto's looking really good once again. He wasn't as good as the other game against Chicago, but he was pretty good. Not making really any mistakes, no turnovers, no fouls. Didn't get any assists in this game yesterday, though. That may be more about how the game was going. Let's see. Nameless saying, I understand you're trying to sugarcoat things a little, but that's just not true. That may be part of it. Maybe it is. I'm trying to look at the bright side and just do what I do. But also, I do really think that playing the same team 2 games in a row, if they're spread out in between, that's good. That is a good thing. You're not traveling, especially if they're in the same city. That's the difference with this one, but the other 2, whereas we stayed in the same city, played the same team, didn't have to travel in between, and we had a day off in the middle. Well, this time we had to travel, and it was a back-to-back, and you're traveling, to another city in the middle. That's not ideal. And that may be part of the reason why our energy was wrong, was that we had to travel, and we were going to a visitor after being at home just for a split second after coming off the road. Evelyn saying, good morning, Raptorfreak crew. Good morning, Granny Evelyn. So good to see you. Mike saying, nameless, in the sense of young players having big mistakes, they will push harder to fix. Working the bench rhythm more, because not gonna lie, they look good at the moment. And yeah, the Bulls made solid adjustments. Facts. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not going to argue with Nameless about this. It's semantics, and we don't really know. There's no real way of like defining this. We could ask the players. We'd ask a coach, Nick Nurse. What does he think? Do you like these 2 game series? I think they would say they do. I think they do like it because it is kind of good practice. Randolph saying, good morning, blessings, Raptors freaks. Tough loss last night. We will grow stronger from this experience. Yes, Randolph Phillips. Thank you for saying this. We learn from this. This isn't like this is a loss. We're just going to take it and not learn anything. These guys are going to learn some stuff from this. Trust me. Coloco specifically will learn from this game last night. Scotty will learn some things from the game last night for sure. Good morning from Sue, and good morning back to Sue from Monique. Sue saying, we started off well, but I think we were tired. We couldn't hit our shots and looked like we were a little flat. Yeah, Billy Donovan was not happy with the way the Bulls started the game last night. And we did come out really nice, but we couldn't sustain it, and it went away very quickly. And I hated seeing that. And I do think we were tired to an extent. There was a weird like fatigue, and we just were not battling well enough with them in the battles that needed to be won. Sue saying Dragic is totally a goon. I can't stand him, and I don't like that he tries to present himself as Mr. Nice Guy, but is really a dirty player. Yeah, and he still can't help himself. He's posting stuff on his Twitter and Instagram, kind of still. Even when he lost on Sunday night, he was posting bullshit, like talking shit kind of shit. But he won the game the second game, so it is what it is. But yeah, fuck him. Mason saying you can tell Scotty's young because you can see sometimes he's having a meltdown, but it's all part of being young in the NBA. It's hard work to be great. Scotty has time on his hands. He'll only get better. Yeah, he's very expressive. We see he wears his heart on his sleeve. We see his emotions come through him. And that may be part of it is like we're really seeing him really he's not like OG. He's not all tied up and like it's all inside. He's putting it out as he feels it in the moment for sure. Mike saying, I watched the coaching part a lot last night and saw the adjustments. Billy is decent at making game to game adjustments. Not gonna lie. Not Nick Nurse level, like in game adjustments, but he can game to game. Yeah, and this has always been the case with him. Like ever since, like way back, I'm very familiar with Billy Donovan because of years when he coached the Florida Gators, and I saw a lot of Florida Gators versus Florida State, a lot of Florida Gators in SEC basketball back in the day. So I know a lot about Billy Donovan from his college career. And he is really a rare kind of coach because he translated being a very, very good college coach that won national championships into being a very good NBA coach. And that is not always the case. A lot of times these college coaches make the switch and they suck and they just can't do the NBA level. Well, Billy's been successful at making that transfer. And it really is a testament to his ability to be adjusting and quick on his feet and thinking about things. I think you're right that he's really good from game to game, but not as good as Nick in game. But I knew he was going to do this. I knew that there were going to be good adjustments and they were going to play us way better on Monday night. And it definitely happened. And it's too bad that we couldn't win still and overcome it. But Billy Donovan is a real good coach. He's like Larry Brown in the case that they were both successful on both levels. Not many guys can say they were a successful college coach and a successful NBA coach. Not many at all. Either you're a very good NBA coach and you're a shitty college coach, or vice versa. And that's a testament to Billy Donovan and just how good of a coach he is. He's coached in both, and he's been very successful in both. Now hasn't won a championship in the NBA, but he's definitely a good coach in the NBA. We've seen his track record with the Bulls and with the Oklahoma City and different teams that he's coached in the NBA since he made the jump. Let's see. Monique saying we are 3-3 on back-to-backs. Not worried, but I hate these back-to-backs. Well, let's not. Let's just say, look, we won. We took care of our home court and won the game on our home court, and Chicago needed to do that for themselves. This is very much like a playoff series. You want to protect your home court. Well, we played a game on home courts, and the home court teams held serve. And that is very much what playoffs is all about. So this is very much like playoff basketball, playing the same team on the same in a couple in a row. Lolita saying the boys are tired, no energy. The schedule back to back is not good. Lavine is the only one with energy. Laugh out loud. Yep, that was a good advantage for him, and it was similar to kind of like Fred's boost on Sunday after being out for a couple games for us. He came in and he was not tired, and he killed it. And well, Zach had time to rest, and everybody else had played the day before, and that was an advantage for him to be better than everybody on the court. Mike's out of bullets. All right, Mike. Well, reload them, and we'll talk more tomorrow. Preview for Houston Rockets game here in Toronto, Scotty Bank Arena. Monique saying 9:05 home opener on Thursday. Let's go 9:05. Let's go Eric Curry. Westchester Knicks Thursday night here in Mississauga. Raptors 9:05 home season opener. Yes, as Monique has put it out there. Nameless is saying it doesn't matter how much talent we acquire. The league has blocked us. Now, see that this is a pessimism I fight against too. Listen, this is like anything in life. There's going to be odds stacked against you, and it doesn't matter if they're fair or not. This is just life. Life isn't fair. You can want everything to be easy and have the red carpet rolled out for you, like some teams in this league may have a red carpet rolled out for them to win championships. But you may be a team like us and nobody really wants us to win, and maybe they do try and stifle us and do things like that. Well, we proved that we can win in 2019, and I believe we can win more in the future. So we can easily get bogged down in a negative mindset and say they don't want us and we'll never do it. And a lot of people believe this, that Toronto will never win a championship ever again. Well, they're fucking wrong, because that is not the right mindset. The mindset is the Fred VanVleet mindset. It's like, look, they told me I'm too short. They told me I'm not good enough. They told me I wouldn't do this. I told me I wouldn't do that. And well, look, motherfucker, I'm doing it. And that's the way we need to think. And that's why he's such a great captain for us. It could be completely against us, the odds stacked against us, and we will overcome it. I truly believe that. That is a huge part of the beliefs of the Raptorfreak cult. It doesn't matter if they're against us. It doesn't matter if it's unfair. It doesn't matter if they're trying to block us. We will overcome, and we will fucking win it again still. And that's really the big part of what this is keeping it, even if some people think it's delusionally thinking this, if people think I'm fucking crazy, purple Kool-Aid. I believe this, and I really do think we'll do it. And part of it is because of our culture and our Masai Ujiri being in charge and everything that we built. We're doing it the right way. And by doing it the right way, we can overcome a crazy odds that are against us. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough. You can say the league blocked us. Well, they try to at times, and they do in little ways. And there may be some people around the league that don't want the Raptors to win, and they try in different ways to try. Maybe it's a schedule maker. Maybe it's some of the referees in the league. Maybe it's somebody in the head office that just doesn't think it's good financial for the Raptors to win another championship. It could be people in government in the United States. They see GDP of Canada go up because the Raptors win a championship in 2019. And they're like, we can't let Canada get those economics. We have to stop them from winning again. Who cares? The odds are the odds, and we're going to overcome them. We can do it. We just need to, it may be a harder path, but we can do it. You got to believe, Nameless. You got to believe. Yeah, you got to believe. We're going to do it. Trust me. Lolita's saying we are on the early stages of the season with young players. Please be patient. I preferred for Siakam, Fred, Scottie to rest their injuries. Now we need them on the playoffs. Go Raptors. Yes, Lolita, please. You are the voice of reason. This is such early in the season. No overreacting right now. We haven't even figured out our identity of our team yet. They say that classically you need to play at least 20 games in a season to really get your identity put and who you are and what you're going to do on the court and who the referees should expect you are as a team with your identity. That's all figured out, and we're not even there yet. We played 11 games this season. We got to play at least 9 more, and then like even more we could change our identity as the season goes on. And that people are way too ahead. Like they're all thinking right away, right now, this is championship time or playoff time. No, this is the beginning of the season, and this is beginning of the season stuff. We can't expect the team to be perfect. Like in April, they're going to look really good. They're going to look better than they do right now, just because they've done more and more and played more and more over the course of the season. And played more together. They're going to look way better in March or April than they do right now in November. So it's all perspective and just being knowledgeable and understanding. This is the NBA. This is the beginning of the season. What do you expect? There's ups and downs. And we'll figure it out more and more as the season goes. Nameless is saying, we didn't lose because of the refs' stupid turnover. All right, hang on. We didn't lose. Okay, hang on. We didn't lose because of the refs' stupid turnover and lack of concentration around the rim did. But the refs definitely didn't help and made it infinitely more difficult. Yeah, I don't like words like infinitely. You're really making it sound way worse than it is, Nameless. Let's see. Yeah, we lost partly because of turnovers that we made that were dumb. And also because there were a lot of gimme shots around the basket that we could have easily converted. That would have changed a lot of things. But I'm not going to nitpick too much on why we lost. Basically, it's because we didn't bring the right energy and they outplayed us. And that is it right there. I mean, the refs did not help. But I don't want to say that they infinitely made it more difficult. I would say that they did make it hard and they did make it feel unfair, and that a team with a lesser spirit would have had their spirit broken and just rolled over and let them just beat them by the end of the game. And we didn't do that. I mean, we didn't come close to winning it, but we did keep a good effort throughout the whole end of the game. That's the difference right there. Is like in the third quarter when the refs were really biased and we got our techs, Nick Nurse and Fred VanVleet. That is the point where they break the spirit of the team that's losing and say, look, we're against you. And then they'd stop trying. And well, we didn't do that. That's the difference. Like maybe a team like Indiana may have gotten that situation and they're like, well, fuck, the referees aren't even like, they're going against us too. Let's just give up. No, and we don't do that. And that's an important distinction to make about things with us. Monique saying, I'll repeat again, we have the toughest schedule to start the season. Don't forget. Yes, this is very important. Thank you, Monique, for reminding us. Nameless is saying, very purposefully done, Mo. Don't think the league did that by accident. They're trying to bury us early. That's probably true. The schedule maker is not a friend to the Raptors, although we do have an easier schedule. And that's part of the thing is they try and give us bad shit, but we overcome the bad shit. And then because they heavily weight bad shit on us at the beginning of the season, it gets easier as the season goes on. We have easier schedule more and more as the season goes on. So in some ways, it's kind of good to get thrown in the fire, and we're still above 500. So let's have a perspective about that. And once again, sure, they're out to get us. We can know that. But who cares? We're that badass team that can deal with all that. Nameless, we're not victims. We cannot act like we're victim mentality. You can't be like, oh, the refs did this to us. Ooh, oh, the league did this to us. Ooh. We have to be badasses and say, yeah, the refs did this to us. The league's doing this to us, but we don't fucking care. We're overcoming this shit, and we're going to fucking win anyway. So don't get apathetic and be like, oh, no, they're doing this to us. And it's not fair. We can't play a victim mindset. We got to be badasses and be like, well, we're just going to overcome it, and we're just going to fucking win anyway. So that's the way I look at it. It's like we can be really pessimistic and down. It's like, oh no, it's so against us. Why do we even try? Well, that's not the right mindset. You can overcome it. We've done it. We've overcome bad reffing. We've overcome all kinds of different stuff and still won games. So that's why I know we can do it. Let's see. Patrick Douglas is saying aggression is what we're missing at times. Yes. That may be the nail on the head right there. However, we split and play again when we're peaking. Delano needs to muscle up during the summer and be brave. Yeah, it wouldn't hurt for Delano to get a little bit more muscle, a little more weight on him. But yeah, I think what you're saying here is exactly right. We did not have the aggressive energy that we had on Monday, and that's a big difference. Seymour Pape saying, I work 7:30 to 3:30, and I listen to you at least 10:30 or 11 a.m., fully dedicated Raptorfreak. I appreciate that, Seymour Pape, and that's part of the reason why you got a wrench, because you are a regular, and I appreciate your judgment and stuff. Monique saying, easiest stretch of games coming up, take advantage. I'm ready. This is part very easy. These 3 games that are coming up for the rest of the week are kind of easy in some ways. So we need to win these games. Now, this is dangerous because if we lose some of these games against bad teams, more of the negative ninnies in our fan nation are going to come out of the woodworks and start saying crazy shit. So just be ready just in case. But I think we should just handle business. Hopefully we just kick Houston's ass. We kind of owe them one from the preseason. They beat us in the preseason game, and we kind of owe them one. Plus, they beat us in Houston. We got to beat them here in Toronto. We got to protect our home court. So tomorrow is definitely a must win. And I do have full confidence that we will win this game tomorrow. It's just we got to do things the right way, and we will protect home court, and we will win. Yeah. Seymour saying, I ain't budging till the live ends. Sorry, boss, in case you're watching. Sorry, boss, man. Seymour is a real one, and he really cares about the Raptors. And we're talking about some serious, important stuff this morning about why the Raptors lost last night to the Bulls. And don't worry, we'll clear this up. I'll probably be done in the next half hour, so don't worry. He's doing his thing. He's getting stuff done. Don't worry. Nameless is saying, league trying to make us irrelevant from the very start of the season. Most sneaky bastards. Even with the lighter schedule, they still make us play crappy teams back to back to make those games hard. Yeah, like I said, Nameless, listen, we can make it sound like such a sob story for us, like tiny violins. Oh, our life is so bad. It's just what it is. It is what it is. It's like, go ahead and give us the gauntlet. Give us the hardest challenges out of any team in the league, and we will succeed. That is our mindset, is that we know this. Masai knows all this. They know that they're stacking stuff against us. They just know that they have to be better. and be that much better than everybody else to do this. This is a really good example of privilege and people that don't have privilege in life, in real life, in the real society. Is that like some people have things easier for them, like the Celtics. The red carpet rolled out for them. They love the Celtics to win another championship. It's just good for the league in all kinds of ways. So they roll the red carpet out for them. That's privilege. That is what some individuals in our society have, is privilege. Well, some people don't have privilege, and the Raptors are one of those teams in the league. We are not a privileged team. And this is a very good example for how you can look in life at how people, it's not fair in life. Some people have privilege and some people don't. And they start from a detriment. And some people are launched or helped by the forces around them. And that's a really good example for everyone to understand privilege and how it works in society, is by looking at NBA teams and how they're treated in different ways. So, and I don't disagree with what you're saying, Nameless. They are doing this. They made this schedule on purpose for the beginning of the season to see if we could be really bad and get off to a bad start and hopefully be a shitty team for the year. Well, they failed. We are a good team. We're above 500, gone through their fire, and we're going to continue to do this. In fact, we're going to get better and better as the season goes on, and we will be up there with Milwaukee at the end of the year. Trust me. Ken A saying Doug Smith doesn't like basketball. I wonder about that sometimes. Like, do you really like basketball? Why do you fucking write about basketball so much? You dedicate your life to covering the Raptors, and you don't even seem like that's like what you want to do. Like, you seem miserable about it in some ways, Doug Smith. Can you just find the joy and the love for the sport of basketball and maybe the Raptors a little bit, and kind of understand that maybe when you started writing about the Raptors in the 90s, that the fan base has morphed and we're sick of your shit? Maybe you could get away with your snarkiness and your downplaying and talking shit about the Raptors and holding the line of the U.S. media and how they treat them. But we ain't putting up with that anymore, especially when you're supposed to be one of our main newspaper people talking about us. So, yeah, Doug, please recalibrate how you're covering the Raptors in some ways and understand your market audience has changed. That you are not covering the same kind of team as you did in 1996, and you're not covering the team for the same people that you did in 1996. That this is a very, very different crowd. And maybe you're an old dog. You can't learn new tricks. You cannot change your writing style and how you cover things. Well, I would say maybe you should. Maybe you should look into this and maybe think about what I'm talking about a little more deeper. That maybe Raptors fans actually care about this team. They didn't in 1995 like they do now. And that maybe you need to cater how you're writing more towards your audience and who you're supposed to be writing for. This people of Toronto and Toronto Star. Yeah, you write for the people of Toronto that want to root for this team and love this team. Start acting like you're writing for people that love this team and not just people that are casually like, oh, the Raptors play basketball in Toronto like they were before. People love this team now. So you need to realize this and stop being such a who you are. Lolita saying that, gee, welcome to Raptors New York fan base and others. Yes, please. I mean, seriously, even if y'all come for just a little while and you enjoy it for a little bit, just come and see. Maybe you'll have a little bit more respect for us in the battles we have with your teams in the New York City. So, I'm fine with this. Bandwagoners, people jumping, all that kind of stuff. It's great. Nameless is saying they want us to play hard teams often and construct the schedule to make easy teams hard for us too. Hard, hard, hard. They want everything for Toronto to be difficult. Well, that just makes us more badass. I'm telling you, what happens with a lump of coal? You harden it up, it becomes a diamond. And that's what we're doing here, baby. We're in the diamond business. We are becoming diamonds because of the pressure, the hardness, the toughness that the NBA puts on us. We become stronger and better. And that's part of the reason why we win in harder situations, because we're more tested and tried and true. They get an easier time. Boston may get an easier time this season. Well, maybe they won't be as hardened as we will be at the end of the year. And that's what I'll say. Let's look at the bright side. There's nothing that you're saying that isn't true. They do try and make it more difficult for us, but let's take the challenge and overcome it. Isaac saying, Raptorfreak is Raptors Nation clickbait, sensationalism, kryptonite after a loss. Yes. Pascal and Kem playing win. I don't know what that means. Fred VanVleet is positively back in top form. Otto is in, and Koloko is growing, winning. This is what I'm saying. We could look at what Nameless is illustrating for us right now, as far as everything's against us. We can't win. It's all against us. Why even try? Or we could look at the positives. We have such great young players coming up. Let's put our focus on the good things that are happening with our team. We can lose a player like Pascal Siakam, and we still have a really good, talented team that can play very, very well. So once again, it's where you put your focus. You want to put it on the negative stuff, the bad stuff about things. That's what you'll see. You want to put it on the positive stuff. If Scotty has a huge dunk, he's an amazing player, and he's on our team, then boom, you can be looking at good stuff and feeling good. It really is where you put your focus. Nameless. I will tell you that if you want to think it's this way and it's just so horrible and stuff, it will continue to be that way for you. But if you can change your perception of it and kind of look at it the way I'm looking at it, well, this isn't fair, but this is a really good test, and it's going to make us better for it. The hard route is the way I kind of look at it. Lolita's saying NBA Chev is a New Yorker and he's just amazing. So another New Yorker is always welcome. Yeah, New York people want to be fans of us. That's awesome. Nameless is saying clear as day for somebody as sharp as me. No fooling me. I've seen it all. My family is from the world's biggest cartel region. There's no fooling me. Woo-hoo-hoo. I'm not gonna mess with Nameless. No, I agree, and you're not being fooled. You're exactly right. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just kind of pleading with you about how you perceive it. And maybe it's like, think about it in your own life. People have done you wrong. How do you react to that? And how do you do it? You cringe and go away and like scurry away. It's like sad. No, you stand up to it and you go up and take your best effort against it. And this is what I will say to you, Nameless, today. Yeah, we know this is true. We know that what you're saying is true. And that's why we're badasses. When we win and we do get another Larry O'Brien, it'll be so much sweeter because they didn't want that to happen. Mike saying, honestly, yeah, we clown the Knicks, but as a fan base, they talk on the basketball in a way of high basketball IQ. There are key voices, and the majority of their fans actually don't like or see Dolan. Yeah, I know New York Knicks fans are some of the most intelligent basketball fans in the world. Of course they are. They always have been. And I don't fault them. There's nothing wrong with the fans. They really know what they're talking about. It's just they're miserable because they've had to deal with that owner for so long. And I know you have a specialty in this area because of research you've done on the New York Knicks franchise, Logical Raptors Fanatic. And I appreciate that. No, I'm not dissing them, and I think they're great, and maybe that's part of the reason why they're flocking, maybe coming to our fan nation, is because they want to feel good vibes. They want to be rooting for a team that's capable, that won't let them down, and they do really understand basketball, and that's why they like us. So yeah, no, I won't disagree. In fact, I always say that the New York fans are the most knowledgeable fans in the whole entire NBA. They really are. We're moving up on that ladder, but we started late, and we haven't had very knowledgeable fans until the last like 5 or 6, 7 years. Now we're getting them too, but New York's number one on that power rankings. They have the most knowledgeable fans in the whole league. I really believe that, and that it's not distinguished between Brooklyn fans or New York fans. It's just people that live in New York City in general. All right, let's keep going. Nameless is saying, of course, that's what players are thinking. Why stay in Toronto where I don't get any calls or respect? Totally agree, Les. Well, I don't want them to think that. I don't want them to think that. And in some ways, the players that know that it's a hard route like it to be a little harder. Like Scotty may be like, I don't care if it's harder to go this way in Toronto. It'll just make me better and stronger. But it is true. This is part of the reason why Vince and Chris left way back, Chris Bosh, that they knew they'd have easier time with calls. And these guys, that's what I'm saying. That's why we want guys in the culture of our team that are hard workers, that don't give a shit, that they're just going to do whatever. If you got guys that want the easy route like Vince or Chris, then they're going to go somewhere else. And that's the difference right there. Is the character of the individual. Do they want the harder test and stay in Toronto and they know that it's a good thing? Or do they want to go somewhere where it's easier? And then they may have more favor with calls. And, that is something that does factor in. I think that was part of the reason why those two dudes left, is honestly. Let's see. Nameless is saying miniseries work in baseball because there is no such thing as momentum, and each new pitcher changes the dynamics too much to be a factor. It's weird because from game to game, it's a whole different story. You could have a completely dominant game, and because the score is wiped out and they're coming in for a whole different game the next day, none of that carries over. But sometimes it can. That's the weird thing. but there's no guarantee that you can carry over that kind of momentum from game to game. I think about the series against the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals for the champion Toronto Raptors of 2019, and I look at momentum in that series. Now, momentum was on Milwaukee's side when they won the first 2 games of that series. But when we got the 3rd game and then we swept them out for the rest of the series to win in 6, that really was a momentum that was sustained over the course of a few games to beat Milwaukee Bucks that week that we beat them 4 times to win that Eastern Conference final. Now, that it can show that there's momentum, but as it was the case, we couldn't carry any momentum from Sunday night into Monday yesterday, so it's not always there. And and I like what you're saying about baseball. That's true. The pitcher can change it very much and very quickly. Monique saying we held Demar to 9 points. That is amazing, honestly. Demar Derozan only had 9 points last night, 2 of 6 shooting, 0 for 1 at 3, 5 of 6 at the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal, 2 turnovers. He was only a +7, 9 points. That's a fantastic accomplishment right there. The fact that we could do that to DeMar at least, but not Zach Lavine, 30 points. Logical Raptors fanatics saying they want to win and push through is what Scotties showed me last night. Like got mad and didn't fade, got mad and did something about it. Yep. They don't roll over. Like teams really do roll over at certain points in the games and say, well, we're not just not going to do anything. We don't do that at all. We don't do that as a team. That's just not part of our MO. Is we always try, no matter what, hard as fuck until the end of the game is over, no matter what. Mason saying, as always, Raptorfreak, great stream. If I have anything to say, take it from day one fan like me and Lex. Relax on the judgment of our players. They are our squad. We are here. If they're 10-0 or start or 0-10 start. Yes, Mason Culligan's a real one. Since Mason showed up this summer, he is like our rookie of the year right now. He's one of the newest members on this channel, and he's just coming correct all the time. And this is exactly the right attitude to have. Listen, we're blessed that our team is very good and we win a lot. If they were not good and they didn't win a lot, I would still be doing this. In fact, God forbid this, but in the years to come, as I do this channel, depending on how the team does, I'm going to do this no matter what. And if they are really bad, you'll see me still carrying the light to shine the positives on this team, even if it's really dark and we're not winning a lot. So it's just that we all like to be winners and feel like winning. We're winners as part of winning a team. And when we don't have that, sometimes people like panic or get a little weird. All right, let's keep going. I want to finish up. She's getting restless behind me there. Let's see. Mike saying took a punch. He was kind of hurt or unconventional, not playing well, but delivered that mega punch slam in his face when he dunked it. It was an angry, mean face. So Scotties has that mean edge he needs. Yeah, he wants to get up on that rim and bully the babies. He will say that. And yeah, he did get hit in the face at one point in the game last night. And that was kind of a frustration dunk that he did. When he did that monster dunk, that was really kind of him venting. I'm pissed at how I'm playing. I want to play better, and I'm going to do this. And that's what he did. Monique saying, I know it's only Rockets on Wednesday. Main thing Raptors need to fix, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Fix the energy. Listen, this is a team that's going to be younger, and they're going to make way more mistakes than we are. We need to capitalize on those mistakes and transition and make them turn into points off of their mistakes of turnovers. And we just need to contain certain weapons on their side. Jalen Green cannot go off. They're playing Jabari Smith. We got to watch out for him. But this is all for the preview tomorrow. I think we have a good shot against Houston, especially since we've been defending our home court really well so far this year. We've only lost once on our home court so far this season, and that's fantastic. That's actually really good. I like having a good home court record. So we'll see tomorrow. I'll have the preview tomorrow. I'll go look at the teams, the injuries, the refs, and all that stuff, and have that for you guys tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Wednesday morning, Houston preview. Mike saying, like, I don't care how I'm playing. I'm going to take this ball, and I don't care who's in my way. This one is me. Yeah, that was really kind of how he felt that moment. He's kind of insulted probably that he has Caruso on him. He's probably like, what the fuck is this little baby on my back? So I'm going to bump him. And then I'm going to go around him, and I'm going to just jam. And I don't care who's there in between me. I'm going to go over him, and I'm going to make him be on a poster. That's basically what that play was for Scotty. And it was so awesome. And it was a really emphatic, like, really kind of like low weight dunk, like where he was kind of stretched so much and his butt was out, and he's just like, ugh. It's just like a lot of power to it. And the fact that Vucevic is a bigger guy than him, and he really, really did posterize him, is part of the fun of it too. So he's gonna watch that clip. In fact, I'll bet you next time he gets on Twitch, he could be on today. I don't know though, because they lost, and he may not want to hear it from people saying that he played like shit last night. So maybe he won't be on today, but I could see him getting on Twitch at some point and watching that dunk a few times and talking about what he was thinking when he made that dunk. And that'll be fun. That'll be fun to hear him react to his own crazy dunk. Let's see. Nameless is saying, just frustrated today, Lex. That's all. And that, you know what? That's natural to feel that. And this is why we do this on this channel after losses. You know, we different, very Raptor freaks will have different levels of sadness or frustration or just like about games, and we have to pick each other up. Like there's been games last year where I was absolutely frustrated and pissed off and really dark and depressed myself, and G came in and cheered me up because G he did what I normally do. He'd be the voice of reason and kind of saying, like, pointing to the light, and he would bring me out of it. So this is part of it. It's like, if I'm not able to do it for y'all, sometimes one of y'all will do it for me. And that's what we're doing for you today. Is I understand you're frustrated and you have a reason to, but this is one game out of 82. It's, you know, in some ways we're going to get losses, and at least this loss had some redeeming qualities to it, and we can learn from it. So it's pointing to the positives, really. And you have all within rights to be frustrated and upset about it. And I'm not, you know, I like that you're showing so much and talking so much about what you're talking about, because this is valid and good things to talk about. It's just I want to try and help you train your brain to maybe be looking at the bright side a little bit more in this situation. Nameless saying, I'm not a happy camper after a Raptors loss. Forgive me, people. Laugh out loud. Different kind of Nameless. You know what? Listen, you're one of us. It's the same thing. I went to bed last night. I was upset. I was like not happy about what happened. I just wanted to go right to sleep. And that's why I didn't even watch any of the highlights or the interviews last night or stayed up for them. I went right to bed after the game and I watched them this morning, because I didn't feel like sitting in it too long. And I just fucking go to bed, you know. Tom Duke saying, Nameless, always hard to get humbled. Yeah, it sucks. Savage is here. There's a new name. Savage, thank you for commenting. And what are you saying? Nurse has sucked. Ready for a new coach. This is horrible. This is not a good debut comment. And this also smacks of somebody who's not really a Raptor fan. Nurse has not sucked. Nurse is one of the best coaches in the league. And this is probably a fan of some other team that wants us to get rid of one of our good assets like Fred VanVleet. This is very much echoes kind of that kind of sentiment. We know Nick Nurse is one of the best coaches in the league, and that if we fired him, somebody else would go get him right away. So Savage, no. And those kind of asinine comments, they just get rejected here like a Coloco block. So there you go. There's your block. No, he has not sucked. We have a winning record. We have one of the worst, hardest schedules to start this season. Adriana, can you just wait 10 more minutes?
I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, I'm almost done. So, but yeah, Nurse has not sucked, and this is an asinine take, is what I'll say. Tom Duke is saying, go Raptors, vamonos freaks. Let's go. Oh, and that's crazy thinking, Savage. That's right, Tom Duke. You tell him. All right, I'm going to finish this up. She's getting real restless in the background, so I need to go get off here. We're almost at 2 hours anyway. Dr. Newt. What? You're back there getting all restless. Of course I'm going to blame you. You are on camera, you know, if you come around there. Let's see. Dr. Nurse is awesome, and we're lucky to have him. I agree with Tom Duke. And yeah, I have a lot of respect for Dr. Nick Nurse, and he is our coach, and he ain't going nowhere. Nameless is saying, Savage, please don't make me start in on you right now. You don't want it. Yeah, you go, Nameless. That's right. Direct that energy, that frustration that way. Logical saying, Nick Nurse was said to be like Kobe and Messi, and we're not giving him to the Lakers. But in a couple of months, people want to just dump him. Well, this, like I said, I don't think this is a Raptors fan. This is another fan of another team coming in here, and they see a loss like this, and it's very like the political parties. Like the right wingers will come in and they'll see a weakness, and they'll try and make it worse by confusion. This is the same thing. This is probably like a Celtics or a Knicks or a Nets or a Sixers fan coming in here and saying like, oh, they're down. They need to fire their coach, and starting that noise in our fan groups to try and see if it gets any steam. And that's really what this is. If it's a Raptors fan, they're not a Raptors fan. They're not. They're probably a fan of another sport first, or they're a fan of the NBA and they live in Toronto and they're just talking out of their ass. Stuff like that. Nameless saying, totally agree, Lex. This pressure is going to make at least 3-carat championship diamonds. Exactly, Nameless. That's what you got to remember. Is the hard way is the most fulfilling, best way to go. And they're going to give us the hard way. We're going to go through and we're going to make it all sweeter. Monique saying some reporters need to be like me, Eric Smith, Lindsey Dunn, Samson Folk, Alex Smith. That's the approved list from Monique as far as the reporters that she likes. I like that list too. That's a very good list. Nameless is saying these harsh expectations on the Raptors from the refs is going to force us to learn perfect basketball, and that's going to be huge in the playoffs where it's a more difficult for refs to be shady. Yeah. If we're listening to them, even if they're unfair, well, at some point they're going to be like, well, the Raptors are listening to us. They're good citizens. We got to reward them. And that really is what it is. I don't think they're inherently just against us. I think certain ones may be, but I don't think that they're always just against us. I think that there are opportunities for the referees to be very fair and down the middle. And I really do cover this very specifically for each case. So that's kind of what I was saying. Like last night, once again, there was some ref manipulation in the middle of the game. You can see it because you saw 2 technicals for Nick Nurse and Fred VanVleet, and Nick and Fred were basically pointing this way and that way. And that they were saying is it's not consistent. The calls on this end of the court compared to this end of the court. And that's where you can tell there was some manipulation because they were crying about it in the middle and they got punished for it too. But once again, them pointing it out and saying something about it sometimes can shape the rest of the game and they get more favor because of it. So, all right, let's keep going. Mike saying Samson is really, really smart. He thinks like a coach from talking to coaches before Project Truth. He's also a coach. He coaches basketball himself. We will get us up there with the New York basketball IQ infusion from the Raps, honestly being the right. Okay, Mike, sometimes you got to proofread, man. I just have to say that because it doesn't make total sense. But yeah, Samson's awesome. I fully endorse any content that's made by Samson Folk. He is not somebody who's just going to write shit to do a hit on the Raptors or do something negative or something. He's usually talking them up and also writing positive pieces and stuff like that. That's the thing I hate is like when these guys like Grange or Doug Smith write these pieces that aren't totally like flattering or good for the team. And once again, I'll bring it up. Doug, you fucked up the Vince Carter situation with the way you covered it. You did, Doug Smith. You made Vince Carter hateful in this country, in this city, because you fucking wanted the scoop and you wanted to put that shit out there. So that's on you, bro. Part of the reason why I hate Vince Carter to this day is because of you, Doug Smith, and the way you reported that shit and what he said. You could have been more responsible about it. In some ways, you owe it to Vince to try and clear his name. But yeah, it is kind of his fault. And Michael Grange will never forgive you for that stupid piece about Masai Ujiri going to Washington. Why did you write that? That is nowhere near the truth. We haven't seen anything like that happen. And you just made some bullshit up. And that's why I hate you, Michael Grange, is because you wrote a piece about Masai Ujiri going to Washington Wizards. So fuck you, Michael Grange, and fuck you, Doug Smith. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Patrick Douglas is saying, to my memory, Toronto Raptors won a championship under the same structure. Our team is good. That doesn't mean you don't lose games. Tutor them, Lex. Thank you, Patrick Douglas. There's a win and loss league. You're going to win, you're going to lose. It's just the way it is. Nameless is saying refs could be doing us an intentional favor without even realizing it, teaching us and forcing us to play perfect basketball for a playoff. Yes, Nameless. Now you're getting it. This is the way you do it. You look for the sunshine, the silver lining, and that is what it is right there. That logic in what you just said is exactly right. They hold us to a higher standard for the whole season. We get better and we perfect it. Other teams may be playing loose and getting away with stuff like the Celtics. They're not as tightened up. Maybe we are because we have to be. And this does help us in the long run. This is the power of positive thinking. This is the power of optimism and thinking and looking and seeing the opportunity that's golden about it and not just wallowing in the worstness of it. So perfect job. Nameless, you've come full circle in this chat today. I love this. We've done good work here that we've brought you back to a positive way of thinking about this. I love this, Nameless. You go, Raptorfreak Nameless. Yes. G saying, Nameless, this also happened during the chip run. The officiating made them even better. Exactly. Exactly. Thank you, G. The voice of reason also. G saying they had no choice but to not depend on the refs and they played through contact. Exactly. Whatever doesn't hurt you or doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Makes you stronger. Monique saying only W streams over here. Let's go Raptors. Thank you, Monique. And thank you, Mike. Nameless is saying, what a great point, G. I forgot about that entirely. And now that you mentioned, I do recall. And you're absolutely correct. Talking about the championship year and how it toughened us and made us better. Yeah. Mason saying you don't always learn from winning. Sometimes you learn more from in a loss. Boom. Another one. Silver lining. Boom. Mason Culligan with another one. A win is a win. Sometimes in a loss, it's a win. It's facts. As a Raptors fan, I see all bad refs, bad teams, bad coaches. We have come a long way in office and on the courts. Yeah. We're building the structure right. The team is built well. The character is right. The culture is right. We have all the right things. We're set up to succeed. It's just that we got to overcome the odds. That is the rest of it. And we didn't have all that other stuff before. And that was part of why we floundered and we were such a horrible franchise for a long time, is we didn't have the culture. We didn't have Masai Ujiri. We didn't build it correctly. And now because we built it correctly and we've hit so many home runs in development and drafting that like we're just going to be overpowering good, because that's the way we're built. G saying, I had a disdain for the refs, to be honest, until the chip. I still don't think that they are fair and frustrate me, but after the chip, I realized how it can be a benefit with the right mindset. Yes, G, yes. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm very similar to what you're saying. I have a disdain for them, but that's why I'm so vocal about the referee check and really checking them out and looking at the history and putting them kind of on a blast individually for maybe how they specifically have a relationship with the Raptors. You know, we know that certain refs have certain relationships with different players, Chris Paul and Scott Foster. We know that part of the reason why LeBron James stopped watching that Tim Donaghy flagrant foul documentary on Netflix is that he's realizing more about how those relationships really matter in the NBA in the first 20 minutes of watching it, that he had to turn it off. So, you know, that is a really important part of it, is relationships with specific refs and specific players and specific teams, that can really shape the refereeing for your team night in and night out, depending on, well, do you have Kyle Lowry on your team still and Natalie Sago is on the court? Yeah, she probably is going to be calling against you because she doesn't like Kyle Lowry. So it's that little thing. That's why I check the refs and I really think about their history with us and what they've done with us and whether it's a friendly relationship. Mike saying, sorry, Adriana, we know you enjoy time with Lex too. They're apologizing to you because they're dragging me away from you. She's such a supportive, loving partner, and I appreciate her so much. I love you, Adriana. She says it's good to know. All right, let's see. Nameless saying, I missed an entire lecture for the stream today and totally worth it. Screw Microsoft Excel. Well, actually, I know some things about Excel too. I could teach you some things, and Adriana does too. She's been learning about Excel recently too. I did a lot of life tables and stat work on Excel. So I can help you with formulas and stuff like that. We'll do private tutoring on Excel to make up for the lecture. But listen, in some ways, you get information and learning just from this, as far as like what we talked about in your turnaround today. Let's see. Mike's saying, I will touch that paragraph tomorrow. I'll give it context, but it was clear, not explained before. I look forward to seeing what you're going to talk about with Malachi Flynn, Mike. So yeah, just make it and put it out, and I will check it out. Nameless saying, laugh out loud. This is our time with Lex, Adriana. Go to share the love. There's enough Lex to go around. Did you hear that? Nameless is saying there's enough Lex to go around and that this is their time to have with me. She's like, well. All right, Paul B saying we'll beat the Rockets. Bulls on a back-to-back was just a learning experience, which can only help us. Mason Culligan saying, go hang out with your girl, Lex. True Raptorfreak. Ha. All right, just real quick, I'm going to go over the box score real fast. Patrick Williams, 10 points for the Bulls, 4 of 8. Derozan, only 9 points. Vucevic, pretty good. He kind of dominated Koloko a little bit. Zach Lavine, the player of the game, the best player on the court, the one who won the game for the team that won. Io was pretty good. He was annoying. He was doing good things on the court mostly. Off the bench, Derek Jones Jr., that guy was really killing us. Like, he was really annoying. 5 of 5, +7, 12 points. Dragic, of course, and Caruso. They're like a little tag team off the bench. and they're annoying. They are very annoying. Both of them were plus 18. On our side of the ball, Koloko had a tough learning lesson playing on a back-to-back, the physicality and what it takes to have the energy to be a starter on the NBA on a back-to-back like this. He did not find it this time, but it is a learning game, learning curve for a young rookie like him. OG could have played better, 4 of 12 from the field, 13 points, 3 steals. He was okay. He wasn't absolutely horrible, but we would have liked him to do a little bit more. Scottie had a tough game, a really good dunk. Otherwise, he was a +6. I'll look at that and I'll say he was a +6. Everybody else was a minus on our team. So he must have been doing something right, even though he couldn't score. Fred, absolutely fantastic. Building off another game against the Bulls. He was the best player against the Bulls in this series for sure. 27 points, 6 of 10 from three-pointers. Fred VanVleet, you are the man. Gary Trent, 7 of 12. Fantastic game also, 19 points. Really happy Gary had a good game. Not enough people are talking about that. And then the bench, we had a couple of goose eggs from Thad Young and Chris Boucher, which is not normal. Normally, these guys will find the basket somehow, some way, especially Chris. Juancho, some quality minutes for 11 minutes, 2 of 3, 5 points. He had that really nice tip in, and he had a block. He did some cool things in the game last night that I really like, and hopefully it will shut up some of the people who are like, why do we have Juancho? Precious, good game. He was our best bench player, 4 of 6 from the field, 10 points. 4 rebounds, did not play enough minutes, Nick Nurse. 14 minutes is not enough for Precious Achiuwa. Otto Porter, solid, 5 points, 17 minutes. Could have played a little better, but he was, he's fitting in fine. Delano and Malachi, 4 points each. And, limited time. Happy birthday, Delano Bant. You look good on your birthday. Okay, tomorrow we'll preview the Houston game. Thanks, guys, for joining me for 2 hours this morning, talking about a difficult loss to the Chicago Bulls. Keep perspective, stay positive, and just keep looking at the whole big picture. Toronto Raptors, NBA champions 2023. You may think I'm crazy for saying that, but I really believe in manifesting things by putting it out there and saying it with your voice. NBA champions, Toronto Raptors, NBA champions, Toronto Raptors 2023. We'll keep saying it over and over and over again. All right, let's see the last little couple of questions. All right, I want to see what Savage is saying here. Okay. All right. He's saying, tell me why Nurse had the team doubling a guy with 9 points. Our coach is a dummy. Well, that's because that's DeMar DeRozan. And even though he has only 9 points, maybe that's why he had 9 points. It's because we doubled him down. You sound like a dummy for not understanding. This is DeMar DeRozan who put 46 points on the Boston Celtics on Friday night. Boston Celtics are supposed to have one of the best defenses in the league. Well, we just played DeMar DeRozan 2 games in a row. And we limited him to like under 30 points between the 2 fucking games. So you tell me how good our coach is, that they could double team one of the best scorers in this league, somebody that we know very, very well, that played for this team for 10 years almost, that is a very good scorer, one of the best scorers in this league. The person that Kobe Bryant said, you get to know my footwork secrets and get to be the best player with your footwork in the league. Yeah, that's an accomplishment. So when you say, why would they double him down? Well, maybe that's why they did it, because he only got 9 points. So what the fuck are you? You're a fucking idiot, Savage. You come back in here, I'll burn you every single time. Thank you for the subscription. You go ahead and come back in here. I will burn you every single time with your bullshit. You want to come in here with that. Yeah, you going to get it? I will give it to you. Why do you think he has 9 points? Because we doubled him down. So where's your logic in that? You're so fucking stupid. There you go. That's what you get. Yeah. Nameless, I like your comment. There you go. Mason's that pile on him. Pile on him, y'all. You go ahead and pile on him too. Raymond's saying, yeah, you tell him. We also doubled Montrezl Harrell versus Philly. It's one size fits all defense. Well, maybe that's our scheme, Savage. Maybe that we are doing a doubling scheme because we really like the rotations. And by doubling and trapping whoever has the ball, we can do this because we have such good athletes that they can catch up and come around. It's not very often that another team gets around our defense and beats it. Like beating that double team. Very often we're getting the turnover and bringing the ball back up the court without them even getting a shot. So I think that his doubling of whoever the fuck he wants to double is perfectly fine because it's working. So yeah, go ahead. And he's like, oh, why is he doubling Montrezl Harrell? Well, maybe we trapped him at midcourt and we coughed it up for him to give it to us and go down the other way. So whatever he's doing with doubling and switching and stuff like that is working. Because how often are they actually getting around us and beating us with it? Maybe they did a little bit last night, but most of the time, the teams are not figuring it out and having good success against it. So there you go. There you go. Bam. Let's go, Raptors.